Su Xing deliberately used divine intent to incite Ancestor Bailey, and Ancestor Bailey thought of relying on this technique of a divine intent to grab Su Xing. He scarcely realized that for a supercluster cultivator to fully use that enormous divine intent, that would be like sinking a mountain into the sea. The 100 disciples present were all only just stardust stage. How could they withstand this kind of ravaging? Originally having laid down a sword array, the magic circle instantly collapsed by itself. And along with the two people's divine intent duel that attracted the attention of everyone, the Knowledge Star took advantage of the opportunity to throw out hundreds of talismans and several tens of thunderfire bullets. Even if a few were pushed down by divine intent, the explosion the thunderfire bullets gave rise to still formed a chain reaction. And with a distraction such as this, the 100 disciples sustained casualties amounting to more than half their number. As far as the Knowledge Star was concerned, the most frightening thing was not the supercluster cultivator, but these seemingly insignificant stardust disciples. When the sword array broke, the divine intent also immediately crumbled. The disciples suffered a calamity, yet Ancestor Bailey's face did not change expressions. Apparently, he did not count on these low-level disciples to be able to do anything anyways. They were not bad as cannon fodder, and now, another hidden star general had been drawn out. Ancestor Bailey sneered. Raising his hand, a 10-zhang-long, thick blue water thunderclap struck downwards from the sky above towards Su Xing. Thunder boomed, like 10,000 stampeding horses, and the blue water thunderclap was no less than 100 zhang in length, its momentum vast and boundless. Astonishingly, this was the blooming water divine thunder's power. Master, careful. Lin Yingmei's expression tightened. No one understood this kind of frightening thunder technique. The blooming water divine thunder was even more than Su Xing. It seemed from the Five Spirits Law Heavenly Book's introduction that the blooming water thunder, as one of the 5 elements' astonishing thunders, its might was higher than an average Taoist realm's thunder magic by several hundredfold. Seeing Ancestor Bailey's blue water thunderclap, its momentum strengthened, imposing and fierce, it had been refined at least more than 10 times. Although it was far from reaching 10,000 thunders simultaneous discharge, the point of the collapse of heaven and earth, its might still scared people. Plus, Ancestor Bailey's was not a person who underestimated the enemy, acting without leaving the least bit of leeway. Everyone present all felt this vastly powerful blue water thunderclaps approaching and severe killing intent. Even if Su Xing had the majestic star's protection, he could not relax if it struck upon his body. Everyone thought this way, yet who would have imagined that when the blue water thunder was unveiled, Lin Ying leapt, unexpectedly leaving her master, an Arctic star spear glinting in her hand. Cold chi pressed and pierced, hacking towards Ancestor Bailey. The majestic star's betrayal made Ancestor Bailey very alarmed. According to his understanding, the majestic star should have inevitably helped block the thunderclap. Could it be this majestic star was dissatisfied with her own master and was sending him to die? It was too late for much thought, and the many thunder water flowers at Ancestor Bailey's side alternated, shooting towards Lin Ying. The blooming water divine thunder overwhelmingly dropped down from above Su Xing, when suddenly it collided against a pure white halo. Enveloping Su Xing, a jade light condensed, and over Su Xing's head, it transformed into a many-layered ocean. Every level of white light had minute, faintly discernible incantations, showing an extremely durable appearance. Bang, bang, bang. Like a clay ox entering the sea, the 100 zhang long blooming water divine thunders struck upon the white net. That kind of oppressive sinking noise penetrated endlessly. The jade-colored bright light enshrouding Su Xing's entire body seemed like a bottomless pit, completely sucking in the blooming water divine thunder. A jade annulus twinkled brightly. Everyone looked, and only then did they know Lin Yingmei's betrayal was planned. Astral treasure. Chen Zhonglin shouted. The profound star barrier was worthy of being called an ancient magic treasure. The blooming water divine thunder was easily submerged into that sea. The blooming water divine thunder having been broken, Ancestor Bailey was tangled up by Lin Yingmei. Waving his hand to disperse the thunder water flowers, exploding one after another, The one-star Arctic star spear cleaved open a chilly wind that shattered the divine thunder. The long spear shot straight towards Ancestor Bailey. The latter was the blooming water sword sect ancestral mastergrade after all, and seeing him suddenly point towards the sky, a blooming water thunder that was bigger than the one discharged earlier dropped from the sky. This thunderclap's watercolor was even more deep, its thickness somewhat terrifying. At the minimum, it was larger than the blooming water divine thunder just now by a full size. In addition, to the side of the at least 300 zhang in length thunder pillar was countless huge water balls randomly flying and rotating. This was a supercluster cultivator's power. This power was certainly just like opening heaven and splitting earth, the rapidly falling thunder pillar bringing with it a whirlwind. The earth split, and the forest was pulled out by the roots, rolling. With regards to the other party, the thunderclap just now was like comparing a small brook to a large river. Lin Yingmei looked at it as if it was nothing, her spear tip fiercely cutting. The Arctic star spear rolled out an Arctic cloud gust that condensed into a thick barrier, blocking her front. The destined star weapon's defense was far unlike the profound star barriers, especially after advancing to 1 star. With a type of unique material like Arctic cloud ice soul, it was indeed like a tiger that had grown wings. The moment the blooming water divine thunder touched the ice-cold Arctic cloud barrier, it was like it entered into a swamp. Ancestor Bailey easily pointed, a booming divine thunder exploding open. With successive booms, the Arctic cloud barrier blown to bits. Although the blooming water divine thunder consumed until nothing was left, it also blocked Lin Yingmei's attack. Ancestor Bailey seemed to have already known this outcome, not even looking as he raised his joined hands. An item flew out. It was a hanging portrait with the 9 dragons glacier, X, painted upon it. He shook the painting and cold light flashed from inside it. 9, several zhang long, ice-cold and pure crystal long dragons flew about and coiled in the sky. They formed a mysterious magic circle, and that magic circle flickered and disappeared. Instantly, it appeared above Lin Yingmei. 9 crystal long dragons opened their maws and spat balls of fog. These 9 balls of fog were extremely cold. The moment they touched the air, they became a thick ice sheet, freezing Lin Yingmei firmly inside. This was the sect's magic weapon. Entering supercluster stage, cultivators could then refine magic weapons. Compared to artifacts, magic weapons had even more spiritual power. The magic energy they could sustain was also more profound, like this 9 dragons ice sealing painting, 7, that could temporarily seal an opponent. However, it was clear he had forgotten Lin Yingmei's identity. Su Xing was at her side, successively making hand seals. The Lin Yingmei that had been frozen over immediately disappeared, entering the star nest. In a moment, she once again emerged from beside Su Xing. Go help Xinjia. Leave him to me. Su Xing promptly said. Lin Yingmei did not think further. Seeing Wu Xinjia currently tangled up in a battle confronting the giant in the clouds Song Wan, Wu Xinjia was a wise general, not a military general after all. Breaking the 2 schools' blooming water sword array and the mechanism magic circle was already less than desirable. The enemy was very intelligent, and Qin Zhonglin and Tong Yao stood guard next to Shi Qian. Perhaps they knew they could not allow them to escape after rescuing Shi Qian. Just you alone, Ancestor Bailey laughed his head off. A nebula cultivator unexpectedly wanted to challenge him. You think just because you have an astral treasure that this ancestor would be unable to deal with you? Killing you is even better than killing Lin Chong. As expected, you are a stupid man. Ancestor Bailey coldly smiled. He currently worried there would be no chance to kill Lin Chong's contractor, but the opposition unexpectedly arrived on his doorstep. Recalling the 9 dragons ice seal painting, both his hands struck a seal. The blooming water divine thunder sprayed out of Ancestor Bailey's pores, taking the shape of several hundred blue water thunderclaps. Let us see if your astral treasure or this ancestor's blooming water divine thunder is the powerful one. Ancestor Bailey sneered, the several hundred blooming water divine thunders interweaving into an inescapable net that attacked towards Su Xing. Ancestor Bailey was a steel-minded killer. The water thunder's rays of light enshrouded the grindstone mountain under a fantastic environment. Moreover, When Lin Yingmei rushed towards Song Jia, Gong Su and Song Jia already took precautions. Gong Su controlled his flying sword to execute an attack, and Song Jia hardly carelessly shook the Vajra's evil smiting sword, but having already been refined to 1 star, the Arctic Star Spear broke the artifact like paper scraps. After several moves, Song Jia was no match. "Sister, come quickly." At this time, seeing Tong Yao still to the side, Song Jia could only call out. Tong Yao did not dare put on airs, having seen that the Arctic Star Spear in Lin Yingmei's hand was already twinkling a white star. Unexpectedly, in such a short time, she refining her star weapon to 1 star was somewhat scary, and the only way was to join hands with the Devil Star Song Jia. The Jade Water Turtle Dragon Trident rushing out from the left brought relief to Song Jia of the pressure of confronting Lin Chong. "Sister Lin Chong, just let we little sisters properly play with you?" Tong Yao gave a big smile, the Jade Water Turtle Dragon Trident reflecting light clear and crystal, its tip penetrating. Seeing Lin Chong alone confront 2 Star Masters, how could Gong Su and Chen Zhonglin miss such a great fortunate timing? Seeing Wu Xinjie already go save Shi Qian was something they no longer cared about as the ancestor was here, anyways. She could not be saved, and the top priority, the most urgent thing the 2 Star Masters wanted to do most was to kill Lin Chong. As long as the majestic Star Panther head died, only then would they be able to feel at ease, otherwise, it would be hard to say if they could leave this place. All Star Cultivators, immediately kill Lin Chong. Ancestor Bailey also yelled. It seemed this fighting strength on Grindstone Mountain, the Panther head Lin Chong, was apparently the sole enemy. The remaining Star Cultivators' cultivations were not originally Nebula stage, and they immediately threw themselves into an encirclement battle to kill Lin Chong. Flying sword, artifact, saber light, mechanical art, every sort of attack method emerged more and more. With a heavenly weapon at 1 star, Su Xing's star energy progressed to Nebula middle stage, and the current Lin Yingmei was incomparable. At this most critical moment, the girl was completely not a wee bit reserved, her fighting strength splitting the skies and parting the seas, churning the river. Her figure flashed by, and Lin Yingmei's slender silhouette was just like chilly wind, suddenly violent, suddenly rushing out towards the 2 Star Masters' pincer maneuver, completely ignoring the Devil Star Song Jia, the retreating Star Tong Yao and the rest's saturation attack. The Panther head super powerfully dodged, stepping across many zhang of space, arriving at the side of Star Cultivator knocking a cold arrow. Not saying anything further, her spear directly cut diagonally. From the spear tip came a power that was even more chilling to the bone than at any other time. This was perhaps the first time Lin Yingmei opened up her own power unbridled. A simple spear, yet its appearance was not like before. Without mentioning its movements fast enough to simply be unable to see its shadow, along with the spear's diagonal cuts, the air immediately transmitted a light sound, just as if something was broken. A clear, cold line immediately thereupon appeared, cutting out a complete locus. His expression greatly changed, completely too late to react. This Nebula late-stage Star Cultivator hurriedly raised both his hands to protect himself, releasing star energy with all his power, a protective artifact immediately appearing. A distinctly visible protective light suddenly appeared before Lin Yingmei's eyes, and all the cold that the spear brought with it oddly and simply knocked a strike against it. Shatter! 9. A crisp breaking sound once again was transmitted out, a violent reaction simply out of the imagination. The Star Cultivator maintained his dumbstruck appearance, but the girl already swept past his body. The Arctic Star Spear seemed dull, yet it was actually incomparably valiant. A sharp, cold light shot onto the opposition's protective cover and ruptured it just like a chicken egg. An ice-cold trajectory like lightning in the dark, there was a flash and he died. This spear raised a storm. That Star Cultivator's neck spurted a spray of blood several meters high. Almost as if his pupils were melting, he wobbled and collapsed. A valiant attack. His pupils violently shrunk. Chen Zhonglin and the other Star Masters' expressions immediately changed greatly. If they suffered this spear, inevitably, they would go nowhere at all. A Nebula late-stage star cultivator unexpectedly was dispatched in a flash by Lin Chong. This was the Panther Head? This was the Panther Head, but things had barely started. Lin Yingmei whirled her body, the corner of her mouth sweeping into an arrogant curve. The Arctic Star Spear, its cold light hovering, a ball of snowy yet not snowy fog spilling out from that mysterious pattern on the spear body. Astonishingly, it stored an ice-cold, bone-chilling and dreadful energy, its sharpness sharper than the world's most legendary blade. The other star cultivators dripped with sweat, gritting their teeth as they struck consecutive hand seals. "Don't run." In a moment of pause, Song Jia stepped forward to dodge, the Vajra's evil smiting sword trying to command people before Lin Yingmei's next attack. She absolutely was not the only person with this line of thought. Nearly at the same time as the star cultivators fall, the rest of the star cultivators simultaneously moved, attacking towards Lin Yingmei together. A cold light flashed across her eyes. In an instant, a loathsome smile unexpectedly appeared on Lin Yingmei's face. Her body was seemingly in mid-air, her footsteps agilely rotating, cutting out a beautiful, graceful, admirable, and outstanding circle. Just like a whirlwind, a gale springing up everywhere, she already appeared behind another star cultivator. There were no flashy or unnecessary movements whatsoever. A spear swept by. Tfix, Puchi, Ting, the dazzling white light blossomed in the air. In the sky, a beautiful arc streaked by, sweeping from this star cultivator's neck and away. A huge skull immediately lifted with the light, rolling towards the sky. From start to finish, unexpectedly, no blood appeared. The Arctic Star Spear's chilliness was increasingly deep, surprisingly already freezing over the wound when she cut. Even blood did not have time to spray out. While the narration was very long, actually, not a moment's time had passed. Lin Yingmei's attack was just about to go off smoothly when indescribable form of ice and snow energy was already approaching her front. The others had no time to be amazed. Flying swords and magic energy discharged. When Lin Yingmei beheaded the third person, Song Jia also shouted loudly. The Vajra's evil smiting sword's light rays condensed a bit. Impressively, it was the yellow rank battle technique, Great Wisdom King Cleave. A biting cold, gold light like an auger, simply without any dodging movements like Lin Yingmei, resolutely crashed towards her. Lin Yingmei's hair danced in the air. Inconceivable snowflakes drifted around the girl's whole body. Suddenly, snowy waves violently rocked, and a snow wave fiercely flew, ice fragments radiating all around. Bang! The Arctic Star Spear chopped, and the cold light unexpectedly directly tore open the Great Wisdom King Cleave. Song Jia turned pale with fright. What kind of exaggeration was this? This moment, Lin Yingmei's Arctic Star Spear was like an extremely ice-cold weapon. The Grindstone Mountain's temperature wildly plummeted without explanation. Suddenly, snowflakes drifted over from the girl's vicinity. Seemingly like winter, Chen Zhonglin noticed every attack of Lin Chong became increasingly ice-cold, and the temperature would drop by a degree, along with this panther head appearing increasingly frightening. A sort of terrifying pressure was issued from Lin Yingmei. Chen Zhonglin quaked, his inner heart unexpectedly showing fear. So this was Maiden Mountain's 5 tiger generals? This is bad. Quickly kill Lin Chong. Tong Yao abruptly shrieked, both hands grasping the jade water turtle dragon trident. A powerful star energy was imbued into the spear, a dragon leaving the ocean. Song Jia also felt a crisis, her entire body shivering without end. She already lost her earlier icy arrogance, the Vajra's evil smiting sword light erupting. Every kind of gold, bright light shot out from the Devil's Star, her star crest entering the weapon like an unending river. Chen Zhonglin and Gong Su clearly sensed the 2 star generals' unease and fear. They also handled things at full strength, throwing out every kind of self-protective artifact. The remaining dozens of cultivators immediately launched an attack at Lin Chong, no longer with an artifact or a technique, just a direct slash. The cold light of Lin Yingmei's was all the more ice-cold, like it came from a deep freeze. This Lin Chong, just what is happening? Chen Zhonglin felt an ice-cold chill stab into his bones. Lin Chong is going to use her yellow rank spear technique. Stop her. Tong Yao shouted loudly. The jade water turtle dragon trident rolled out a roaring tsunami, imposingly surging forward. A pinning pressure like the 5 sacred mountains rushed towards Linning. The retreating star river churning clams yellow rank style, water dragon captures heaven, overflows the sea. The devil star giant in the cloud Song Jia also did not neglect. The Vajra's evil smiting sword's bright light condensed and split open the cold weather mist, appearing like a sharp, massive sword that shot towards Linning Mei. Great wisdom King Cleave. The 2-star general's 1-star heavenly weapons yellow rank styles could be rated as tyrannical, with power abundant enough to swallow the whole country. Linning Mei's attack had only just started, but it was a sudden start. Cold immediately flooded the entire space, the snow on the ground accumulating more and more because of the extremely deep cold made by the star energy at the spear tip. Also because of this extreme ice cold, large snowflakes were created, the seasons seeming to have reversed. The sounds of explosions arose with a bang. In the middle of the violent whirlwind, it collected into a frightful ice tornado. The space in a range of 100 zhang immediately was a vast expanse of white snow. It could be clearly seen that the temperature had been brought down to the bottom line. Everything before their eyes was shrouded by white, their ears crammed with a whistle. The flying swords had been shot down, and the 2 earthly star styles were drawn into this blizzard, like dropping into a big, bottomless hole. Song Jia and the rest's faces had no color. Suddenly, there came a violent change. The star cultivators hurriedly retreated back, executing defensive maneuvers, fearing a sneak attack. An ice-cold figure similar to a millennium of black ice, the cold wind's devastation felt in the air, and Linning Mei's expression was cold, both her hands holding her spear. Stepping at a slow pace, in the middle of a violent storm of snow, she cut out a stunning and outstanding spear technique. Raising her spear, it carried from top to bottom an imposing power, seemingly splitting open the intact space. A world-shaking fracturing sound rang, and along with her spear's power, the ground immediately caved in. Ice crystals violently launched, snow waves splashed. The forest and the earth were jolted in a clamor, being pulled out by the roots. The enormous ice cold of the spear tip directly swept past, and this spear brought out a wide expanse of a storm. The star cultivators' defenses were instantly broken, their figures disappearing into the storm. Linning Mei's figure flashed, the spear's power sweeping open from front to back, the sneak attacking Song Jia. The spear's cold neared an even more bone-chilling level. Within a crisp noise, the cold, crystal spear in Linning Mei's hand that looked like ice and snow abruptly transformed into points of sparkling, white light that shot into every direction. The person already viciously rushed out. The spear technique was continuous and unending, without end. The offensive was wild as swelling waters, and the torrential downpour was becoming increasingly fierce. A distance of several zhang was closed in a flash. The girl's speed reached a peak, and along with the inertia of a full sprint, the spear broke down in midair like a snowflake. It condensed again and promptly reappeared in her hand. This time, the attack target was Star Master Gong Su. Gong Su was a Star Master. Towards a Star Cultivator's attack, he had an extremely strong sensibility. Even if he could not resist from the front, to unexpectedly kill him was also not that simple. He hastily controlled his flying sword to block her. What actually ripped apart this brilliant white space was actually a tiny snowflake fragment. Under Linning Mei's deliberate acceleration, it possessed an awful destructive power. Every inch of space in the surroundings was intensively covered, such that the other star cultivators did not have the slightest chance to get away. Ding ding ding, this sound was unending. Gong Su promptly embodied a nebula late stage's formidable combat power, the unsheathed flying sword like a viper. Quickly, he laid down a concentrated defensive net of light. Under the accurate work of a slightly scorching chi flame, unexpectedly, the effect of a shield was achieved. Those ice crystal fragments possessing awful kinetic energy were unable to have an effect, evaporating away in an instant. But Lin Chang's spear technique was far from being thought of as that simple. "Master, leave quickly." Song Jia saw the danger. Lin Yingmei's spear already was like the sound of thunder. In the opponent's confusion, she promptly broke into the light net. She completely ignored the threat of the flying sword. A bloody light suddenly appeared. With a muffled grunt, Gong Su staggered backwards a few steps as if he was drunk off wine, violently twitching from head to toe. A great amount of blood bubbled out of his throat. His throat seemed to have been pierced. Gong Su covered his throat, stunned, an expression of disbelief on his face. "Great wisdom, King Cleave." Song Jia spat out a mouthful of blood, the golden sword light attempting to tear open the blizzard. However, the girl subsequently danced, her agility like a butterfly in a storm. Lifting the plum tea piece at the same time, there was blood. She pointed to her next target, Qin Zhonglin. "Master, quickly escape." Tong Yao was already deathly pale, the jade water turtle dragon trident resisting with all its might. At this moment, Lin Yingmei's spear power was completely revealed. Song Jia and Tong Yao advanced to attack with their full power, wanting to fight for a final thread of a chance, but that Arctic Star spear rotated incomparably strangely. The spear point would sweep, and there would be an expansive blizzard. A chop would be a biting, penetrating cold, and every attack would make the spear's temperature become even more frigid. The star crest on the girl's forehead was increasingly bright and pale. An unprecedented immense gale and blizzard enveloped the star cultivators under her spear power. No one could be spared, no one could escape. This was shockingly the majestic star's yellow rank spear technique. Long blizzard nights. 11. The violent blizzard finally subsided, and Lin Yingmei held the spear in one hand, standing straight. In the area of her attack, all star cultivators were met with a violent death. The devil star giant in the clouds Song Jia saw her heart had been run through. Her expression blank, the light in her eyes began to fade. "Two people could not kill you." Tong Yao leaned on the jade water turtle dragon trident for support, her whole body audibly shuddering. Mortally wounded, the only reason why she had not died was that she relied on Qin Zhonglin's life-saving talisman, first seen like water talisman. 12. However, Qin Zhonglin was not as lucky as she. Fallen under Tong Yao's foot, it seemed his breath was cut short. Tong Yao frigidly laughed, kneeling down where she was. Immediately, her final speck of light also was lost. "Go well," Lin Yingmei faintly said. The bodies of the ranked 72nd Devil Star Giant in the clouds Song Wan, Song Jia, and the ranked 69th Retreating Star River Churning Clam Tong Meng, Tong Yao, turned into star fragments, floating into the void. In the sky, 2 crimson stars were used up, and 2 stars fell. Boom! Lin Yingmei still had not yet enough time to breathe, when suddenly, Grindstone Mountain was shook by an earthquake. A powerful pressure imposingly pressed down, hiding the sky and covering the earth. The exploding sound of rolling thunder. "Not good. Master!" Lin Yingmei hoisted her spear, lifted her head, and happened to spot Ancestor Bailey breach Su Xing's defenses, and she immediately forged ahead. When the yellow rank spear technique Long Blizzard Nights was executed, it truly was a skill that would make others marvel. Lin Yingmei dispatched 2 star masters in a spurt of energy, and along with her ceasing of the spear technique, Grindstone Mountain's blizzard also calmed. But at this time, there was the ear-splitting sound of rolling thunder. Raising her head, what she saw was Ancestor Bailey's blooming divine thunder flying sword happen to strike open Su Xing. The profound star barrier's spiritual energy defense vanished into thin air, and a blue water thunderclap several zhang thick came striking down. Ancestor Bailey howled with laughter. According to his magic energy, it was sufficient to kill Su Xing dozens of times. Su Xing seemingly foresaw this, opening a heaven-concealing parasol against the wind and sheltering above Su Xing's head. A ball of light interweaved into a net, layer upon layer folding around him. The thunderclap loudly struck, struggling valiantly as more than a dozen layers of light net instantly crumbled. The heaven-concealing parasol was torn to shreds without the least bit of resistance, and it was at this time that 2 crimson lights fell from the heavens onto Su Xing. At the same time, the blooming water divine thunder struck Su Xing. With 2 rays of crimson light and the heaven-concealing parasol, a supercluster stage great cultivators tyrannical blooming water divine thunder unexpectedly could not strike the killing blow on Su Xing. Everything seemed to have been planned, every single detail accounted for. Having received such a strike, Su Xing still violently coughed up a mouthful of blood, his internal organs seemingly on fire, his body's flesh and nerves aflame. Ancestor Bailey coldly smiled and pointed with both hands. Several thunder lightning flowers floated in the air then plunged toward Su Xing. A cold light cut vertically, and the flowers drifted. Lin Yingmei had hurried in time. This truly is an outcome outside of this ancestor's expectations. Ancestor Bailey floated in midair, more than a dozen blooming water divine thunders forming a flower appeared before their eyes. The petals opened and closed, taking in and sending out water lightning. Seeing Lin Yingmei exert a powerful air that was seemingly dissipating, currently, he was not worried. Grindstone Mountain at this moment suddenly dropped into winter, covered in ice and snow. The 2,600 disciples nearly had no survivors, and the sole one left alive was precisely that Ancestor Bailey. This supercluster absolutely powerful cultivator did not have any sorrow whatsoever. On the contrary, he was even more savage and dripping with pride. As far as Ancestor Bailey was concerned, this kind of situation was not necessarily an unlucky chance. This is perfect. If this ancestor exterminates 3-star generals, that Liangshan maiden wouldn't say anything, would she? Ancestor Bailey slightly raised both his hands, the water lightning flower increasing sharply by several zhang. His absolute self-confidence originated from an absolute gap in their strength. Su Xing was only a nebula middle stage. What idea was this? His next rank was but galaxy, both sides spanning a realm. In the star cultivator's domain, this was not fatal, this was absolutely frightening. Regardless of what unexpected trickery a nebula cultivator used, that was fine. And a trump card, that was also fine. Ancestor Bailey looked at it all as nothing, his sole worry the realm-crossing star general. Wiping out Lin Chong, this ancestor would be considered the number 1 person, able to enter the heavens would be merely so. Can't say for sure if this ancestor could even go see that Liangshan maiden. Ancestor Bailey's eyes suddenly shot pure electricity, vigorously and wildly rising. A powerful pressure pressed down and intimidated Grindstone Mountain, the tremendous mountain shuddering for this reason. Even if you put this much effort into planning, what of it? Watch how this ancestor breaks you all, go. Ancestor Bailey shouted. Several dozen thunder water flowers withered, imitating flying swords as they broke into the sky and shot forth. Su Xing raised the pure gold shield, both hands joined as he struck hand seals. A ball of water lightning flew out from his palm. The disparity with Ancestor Bailey's was not generally large. An immense, deep hole was blasted out of the earth by the blooming water divine thunder. Su Xing's pure gold shield broke within a moment, only barely able to block the blooming water divine thunder, but having the panther head Lin Yingmei's protection, an Arctic star serpent spear swept across. However, Ancestor Bailey's magic energy was excessively valiant, and Lin Yingmei and Su Xing both were beat back. Don't mind this star. The knowledge star Wu Yong tenderly scolded. Several tens of whistling thunder fire bullets successively were loosed from Silver Blade. This seemingly an artifact yet not an artifact gunblade was used by Wu Xinjie actually very skillfully. Ancestor Bailey was disdainful, ever since after Wu Xinjie greatly broke the sword array, his divine intent continuously did not leave the opponent. When he saw her go save the thief star, he was not worried. The water-parting dragon binding net was expected to give her no way out. Now seeing her shoot a dozen or so thunder fire bullets at him, Ancestor Bailey lazily waved, and a ball of blue-green light leaked from his sleeve, transformed into a long river, and instantly broke the thunder fire bullets. On what grounds do you all dare to be so impudent in front of this ancestor? Ancestor Bailey laughed loudly. This servant knowledge star does dare. Old Taoist, accept death. The knowledge star Wu Xinjie's wrist turned over, and 100 talismans were thrown out. The talismans transformed midair into fire birds, the middle grade talisman, roasting bird talisman. Ancestor Bailey first raised his flying sword to block Lin Chong, and then subsequently urged on his blooming water ability to break the talismans. Knowledge star? There's some capital. This ancestor will take your sacrificial star first. Hearing Wu Xinjie defend her reputation, Ancestor Bailey's eyes immediately revealed greed. The roasting bird talisman simply was incapable of resisting Ancestor Bailey's grandeur. Wu Xinjie cried out in fear, her frightened face drained of color. Turning around, she ran. Xinjie, look out! The Su Xing and Lin Yingmei, who were wrapped up by Ancestor Bailey's flying sword, anxiously cried out. How could Ancestor Bailey let go of this golden opportunity to extinguish the knowledge star? His figure flit by, instantly chasing after Wu Xinjie's back, the wind whistling in a cacophony, his killing intent roaring. Ancestor Bailey's palm raised a thunderlight, slapping Wu Xinjie's back. Die! His palm hurt, having received recoil. Her clothes were ripped open by a formless power, and on the inside unexpectedly was a golden thread weave, fish scale treasure armor. Shockingly, it was the golden thread fish scale armor. Originally General Tianwei's treasure armor, it broke 10,000 flying swords of cultivators while on his body. Now on Wu Xinjie's body, it was actually suitable for her. Ancestor Bailey's fatal palm energy immediately was greatly dissolved. However, even if it was like this, Wu Xinjie still vomited a mouthful of blood, her whole body trembling. But just when Ancestor Bailey prepared to grab Wu Xinjie's head, the girl suddenly turned around. He saw the star general that should have been scared out of her mind reveal a victorious and cunning smile. You fell for it, old Taoist. A purple-colored talisman floated out. Within such a short distance, Ancestor Bailey simply was unable to see it. The talisman flashed, then faded, sticking onto the ancestor's abdomen. He saw that talisman's carved script had some profound design, and when the talisman dispersed, a violet great array surged. A powerful pressure unexpectedly made Ancestor Bailey incapable of budging. Immediately afterwards, a purple magic cloud was raised over his head. Seeing that magic cloud flash with lightning within, rolling thunder grandly shook. When the purple talisman came out, shockingly, the world changed color. 1,000 zhang purple flame, thunder and lightning rushed out from the magic circle, firmly trapping Ancestor Bailey within. Impossible! Ancestor Bailey was frightened enough that his face was white, promptly chaining together and striking hand seals. Several magic weapons, artifacts, everything flew out seemingly to ward off this terrible calamity. This talisman of the knowledge star Wu Xinjie was awe-inspiringly the supreme grade talisman, heavenly calamity talisman. 100 bolts of thick violet-colored thunder and lightning struck down from the magic cloud. The large power unexpectedly cut down Grindstone Mountain a number of zhang. The purple light and frightening lightning could be seen as far as 1,000 li away. Taking advantage of this, Su Xing and Lin Yingmei promptly cut down the out-of-control divine intense flying sword, rushing to Wu Xinjie's side. Dealing with a supercluster cultivator could only happen by relying on the kind of supreme grade talisman that was the divine punishment talisman. Otherwise, they were simply incapable of shaking him up the slightest. The violet thunder and lightning disappeared, and the weather was once again sunny and cloudless. The smoke and dust dispersed away, slowly revealing a battered and exhausted shadow. Su Xing and the others' hearts sunk. Sure enough, a supercluster cultivator was valiant. The supreme grade talisman, the heavenly calamity talisman, was surprisingly unable to deal with him. The Battle of Grindstone Mountain seemed very dangerous, but all the developments finished within the knowledge star, the resourceful star, Wu Yang's expectations. From the very beginning when Su Xing used divine intent to break the 100 Disciples' sword array, to Lin Yingmei's long blizzard nights, that cut down 2 star masters and dropped the power of 2 crimson stars onto Su Xing to block the imminent peril of the blooming water divine thunder, to even when she announced her own identity to lure Ancestor Bailey to chase and kill her, using the golden thread fish scale armor to escape a calamity, then using the heavenly calamity talisman after for a quick kill. This series of plans could even be said to be clever to the highest peak. The 100 cultivators' ambush here in this trap was cleanly swept through, pulled out by the roots. Especially the Heavenly Calamity Talisman, this supreme-grade talisman was sufficient to rapidly dispatch a supercluster early-stage cultivator. This was also why when they found out Shi Qian had been captured, Su Xing went to save her. Wu Xinjie did not have a reason to oppose. But Wu Xinjie still underestimated Ancestor Bailey's strength. Ancestor Bailey was battered and exhausted, his entire body's flesh lacerated from the ordeal, bruised all over, relying on his own mastery over the blooming water divine thunder and a few magic weapons to protect himself, barely surviving from under the Heavenly Calamity Talisman. Wu Xinjie's face this time genuinely turned white, not expecting him to not perish under the Heavenly Calamity. However, the Knowledge Star's attack definitely was not ineffective. Although he had escaped a disaster, Ancestor Bailey's cultivation was violently subdued, his vitality greatly debilitated. No more did he have the extremely angry and imposing super strength from before. A pale and colorless face twisted with a look brimming with fury. After all, it was a supreme grade charm. Not being scattered ashes and smoke was considered very lucky. Ancestor Bailey roared, 18 watercolored flying swords flew out of his mouth. The flying sword's light was dim, his acute spirit greatly diminished, but it was still sharp. This happened to be the blooming water sword sect's famous sword art ability. The 18 flying swords twisted for the kill towards the Knowledge Star. Wu Xinjie swiftly retreated, a copper chain flying out, but it immediately was cut down by the flying sword. A cold light was directly launched, crisscrossing with the sword as it twisted towards the Knowledge Star's neck. At the critical moment, Lin Yingmei dropped from the sky, waving her spear and blocking the flying sword. Die! Ancestor Bailey was thoroughly mad, chaining together seals, piecing together his last magic energy as the 18 flying swords violently attacked towards Lin Yingmei. At this moment, the two girls were somewhat too spent. Su Xing no longer hesitated. Stabilizing the boiling qi and blood in his body, he shouted, a rainbow shadow flying out of his astral bag. That rainbow shadow was the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief, and it drastically grew by several zhang, suspended above Ancestor Bailey's head. Ancestor Bailey was a veteran of 100 battles, his reactions swift, knowing that the circumstances had a change. At once, he emitted a ball of protective green light, wrapping himself within. The green light was extremely thick. The entire body of the figure 3 zhang within could not be clearly seen. 3 flowers the size of wicker baskets revolved over his head, a sweet scent dispersing forth. When Ancestor Bailey controlled the flying sword, he could only use all his power to mobilize a protection magic from a sage art. At the moment Ancestor Bailey activated the protection magic, the magical fire cloud handkerchief's rotation sped up and formed into a scarlet-red cloud. Together with the surrounding air, it all became a thick, blood-red color. Flipping and rolling, waves of bloody strips, heaven and earth was enshrouded within that dazzling blood red. The red cloud surreptitiously rolled a bloody flame. That blood cloud and blood waves rapidly spun with an oppressive rumbling sound. A giant, dark red flame dropped towards Ancestor Bailey. This fire rain's range was enormous, enveloping the area of 100 meters surrounding Ancestor Bailey within it, making escape impossible. The fire cloud dropped with a rumble, and Ancestor Bailey's magic just happened to complete, the timing unexpectedly not lacking even by 100th. Such an insignificant artifact and you dare show it? Ancestor Bailey very fiercely bellowed. Although those 3 flowers the size of baskets revolved at a great speed, they swept away much of the blaze, but these flames dropped in succession, unstoppable. These dark red flames were like maggots attached to bones, crawling all over Ancestor Bailey's green barrier. This is magical fire? Ancestor Bailey immediately discerned the difference of these flames. Originally, the green light was dazzling, and the flowers that had not been touched by a drop of impurity would flash a scorched color when dripped by the magical fire. Their revolution speed greatly slowed, and in a split second, dark red flames by the hundreds and thousands changed, transforming the flowers into black-colored charcoal. Bang! The flowers ceased rotating, exploding open, mixing together with the flames. Without the resistance of the flowers, the magical cloud fire sea rushed into the thick green light simply as if it was a room with no one in it. Although the green light was thick like it had substance, actually Ancestor Bailey had used a few magics from the Five Spirits' heavenly book, urging the spirit chi of the world around him and combining it with his own blooming water divine thunder to form a protective screen. This was specifically for use to guard against flying swords and magic weapon attacks. He was not one of the three ancestral masters of the blooming water sword sect for nothing. Even if he had received the heavenly calamity talisman strike, his vitality greatly harmed, his remaining magic power was still formidable. This was the power of a supercluster cultivator. The gap between them was actually too great. However, this grindstone mountain was destined to become the place that Ancestor Bailey buried his bones. The magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief was not a simple artifact, and she unceasingly sucked Su Xing's star energy, acting as replenishment for the magical cloud fire sea. Using the words Gong Kaiwei said before, the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief was even more like a strange and unusual magic tool. Perhaps because it was this kind of rarely seen magic weapon that the deviant star the red-haired devil would originally sign a contract with Sun Hua. Because, to the blaze refining saber, this magical fire really was a delicious treat. Su Xing swung both his hands, spitting up a mouthful of essence blood. That essence blood became a vortex in mid-air that swirled and condensed. In a flash, it turned into a broadsword with 9 interlocking red rings and the face of a demon from purgatory itself. This was the blaze refining 9 Hells saber. Warmly nurtured inside Su Xing's star crest for a long time, this was still the first time Su Xing had brought it out. That blaze refining saber seemingly was a monster in high spirits, issuing a hoarse and crisp cry. 9 crimson lights struck upon the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief. The dark red magical fire imposingly and violently swelled, turning into something akin a torrential downpour that reached the heavens. In a split second, the skies were murky over a dark earth. The thick green light obstructed this frightening sea of fire no more, and Ancestor Bailey let out an angry howl. It seemed he had received a strike that was not light. It's the 9 Hells magic flame, mage, and another miserable shriek. Ancestor Bailey did not care one bit for his status as a sex great scholar as he loudly screamed. However, the 9 Hells magic flames that the blaze refining saber and the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief mutually created was truly terrifying, burning demons under heaven, a vital energy dark technique. 3. Ordinary magics were hard to contend against. If Su Xing did not originally unexpectedly rush forward and kill Sun Hua in one step, should he have waited until he used the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief to form the 9 Hells magic flame, then he and Lin Yingmei would have perished without doubt. Ancestor Bailey relied on the past 200 years of simple and refined magic energy in addition to the blooming water divine thunder that had been refined more than 10 times. It had some use in stopping magic-type techniques, else he would have already become ashes. Su Xing looked at the Ancestor Bailey below him wrapped up by magic flames, and his face was also pale. His 7 apertures all faintly flowed with traces of blood. As expected, a supercluster cultivator could not be covered. In addition to the heavenly calamity talisman, the long and warmly nourished 9 Hells magic flame both were unable to kill him. These days, the people who could reach him were few. Su Xing raised high above his head the blaze refining saber. Loudly roaring, he cut down towards the Ancestor Bailey wrapped in the sea of flames. Hacking the demon's saber down, the area then was already not the area it began as. Su Xing's heart was like steel, with all of his killing intent, all of his essence, chi and spirit slashed down together with this blade. The 9 rings on the blade let out a burning sound like drinking blood, and an area of 100 li around Grindstone Mountain was enveloped with a blood-red, a miserable evil wind and loud, mournful cries. The 2 girls, Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei, retreated at once to Shi Qian's front. The 2-star energy wildly shot out and formed a protective barrier. Su Xing cut forth with the sword, and Ancestor Bailey's 18 blooming water flying swords promptly intertwined to block. In this sea of flame world, an entirely different light appeared. The originally snowy scene Lin Yingmei made was melted in the blink of an eye, and the blaze refining saber launched a chain of 9 darkly colored flames. The flames interlocked in a flash and melted the 18 attacking flying swords. When the saber was swung down, the demon fire chain soared and attacked Ancestor Bailey. This was that 9 consecutive hellfire demonic slash. Ancestor Bailey's full body robe unbearably broke open from head to toe, his body just like a sieve, filled with holes, bleeding without end. Another grievous appearance, and his arms had already exploded apart. This ancestor and you all cannot exist together. Ancestor Bailey was truly too tenacious. The Heavenly Calamity Talisman, Blaze Refining Saber, 9 Hell's Magic Flame, 9 consecutive Hellfire Demonic Slash. Su Xing nearly exhausted all of his star energy, and Ancestor Bailey was not yet ash. However, he seemed unable to endure any further. Ancestor Bailey's stance fled, wanting to escape. According to a supercluster stage cultivator's fully employed escape technique, he probably could flee outside of 1,000 li in the blink of an eye. If they let him escape, it inevitably would cause trouble of no end. Only with great difficulty did they finally manage to put Ancestor Bailey on his last legs. How could Su Xing let him have his wish? Loudly shouting, the magic sealing sword was assigned its use. The sword transformed without a shadow, and Ancestor Bailey's escape technique had not yet executed when it was broken by 10,000 sword shadows. The ancestor was overwhelmed with shock, and he abandoned all hope. And in this split second of an obstruction, Lin Yingmei changed into a graceful whirlwind that shot forth. The Arctic Star Spear did not have any obstructions at all, running straight through Ancestor Bailey. The spear tip circulated a cold wind, smashing apart his internal organs. Ancestor Bailey screamed, "Aya," seemingly not resigned to unexpectedly die at the hands of a puny nebula cultivator. Thereupon, the spear edge slashed apart the ancestor's body, a shadow flying out of Ancestor Bailey's forehead. Shockingly, it was a great star cultivator's refined essence soul. However, this kind of soul mostly became malicious spirits because of resentment. Su Xing definitely did not want a malicious ghost plaguing him, and pointing his hand, the already prepared ghost pearl flew out and sucked that spirit into itself. The pearl dimly flashed like colored glass, fully trembling a moment, seemingly endlessly satisfied by the replenishment of a great star cultivator's spirit. The pearl dimmed, seemingly even more black by a tad. Wu Xinjie already said before, until this ghost pearl became pitch black like ink, then it unlocked its ghost path ability, which seemingly was not far away. Su Xing coldly smiled. All of a sudden, he felt as if all the air inside of his body was drawn out. The magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief had devoured all of his star energy and flew back into his astral bag. The blaze refining saber also was seemingly covered in dust and bleakly turned into a ball of essence blood that scattered. Su Xing went limp and fell over. Lin Yingmei was just about to step forward to catch Su Xing, but at this moment, an even quicker figure swept past, embracing Su Xing upon her bosom. Su Xing. She was the thief star flea on a drum Shiyuan. This moment, Shiyuan looked into Su Xing's eyes very complicatedly. She tightly bit her lip. "I've never seen a star master with your kind of stupidity," Shi Qian forcefully smiled. "Speaking of your savior like this, it's not so good, is it? Shouldn't soap operas have an emotional, hot kiss?" Su Xing grabbed Shi Qian's shoulder, teasing her. What a soap opera was, Shi Qian did not know, but at this very moment, she indeed wanted to do as much. Thus, Shiyuan, in front of Su Xing's 2 women, disregarded everything and kissed him. Glistening teardrops fell and withered in the wind. From this moment forward, she was this man's star general. The forehead of the Shiyuan kissing Su Xing suddenly twinkled with a brown light. This light was just as if someone had used a knife to draw a portrait stroke by stroke, the strokes vivid and powerful. Entering his bones, at the same time, Su Xing felt his forehead burn with a fiery pain. The Su Xing, who originally already had been exhausted of strength in a split second, felt a fantastic power cram into his body. A crimson star glittered in the sky. The kiss finished, Shi Yuan's big eyes opened slightly, covering her mouth as she looked at the star crest of Su Xing's forehead. Inconceivably, she unexpectedly signed a contract? To the side, Wu Xinjie and Lin Ningmei were dumb as wooden chickens. Kiss contract? The knowledge star said in a low voice, disbelieving. She had only heard of a star master's kiss contract. She had never heard of a star maiden initiating the star cultivator's kiss contract, and this time, it greatly toppled Wu Xinjie's understanding towards contracts. Lin Ningmei cast an indefinitely bewildered glance towards the resourceful star. Su Xing, who had signed on his third star general, had surpassed all others before and since in Liangshan. Just what was going on? Fortune and misfortune lead to each other. Wipe your eyes and wait. 3. Wu Xinjie lightly waved her feather fan, slightly smiling. It seems our master has revised the Maiden Mountain structure. Have you two signed a contract? Su Xing touched his feverish forehead, perplexed. He naturally did not know how irregular of a matter it was for he to sign a third star general. With regards to this guest in Liangshan, genuine shock was far from as grand and magnificent as 3-star maidens, and another expansion of his star energy made him but pleasantly surprised. This young lady, the thief star flea on a drum Shi Qian, from this day forth, is Su Xing's woman, Shi Yuan said bashfully. Hearing this seemingly familiar declaration, Su Xing for a moment did not know what expression he should have had. We had better leave quickly. This has already attracted the attention of many people. The knowledge star knew now was not the time to heave a sigh. Grindstone Mountain's extraordinary image was continuous, spreading to 1,000 li, and in addition to the fall of 2 crimson stars, perhaps now already attracted were great quantities of star cultivators, star masters, and schools all rushing towards this place. If they still did not leave, in case they were encircled, given the current state of everyone, everything pointed to disaster. Su Xing nodded and arranged his things. There was no time to lose. The 3-star maidens glanced at one another, flashing into the star nest with good coordination. His ocean of consciousness swelled, and Su Xing felt his divine intent once again expand several sizes. Then he hastily rushed towards the bottom of the mountain. If the knowledge star's expectations were true, 10 minutes later, dozens of escape lights arrived at Grindstone Mountain in succession. They wore blue robes, their feet planted on blue water flying swords. 5. It was the blooming water sword sect's headmaster as well as 4 protectors and 12 hall masters. When they saw the falling star from the main hall, the Taoist Luo River had even believed the ancestral master already achieved the objective, and thus was secretly delighted. Originally, when he found out that Ancestor Bailey personally appeared, he thought that victory was already at hand. A supercluster stage cultivator was top quality in the Azure Dragon territory, broadly speaking. Even if Lin Chang's Star Master was only Nebula stage, how could he possibly be an opponent? But soon after the Purple Thunder Heavenly Calamity, the magic fireworks sea immediately made this blooming water sword sect headmaster's complexion change greatly. That entirely was not a blooming water sword sect power, and in his impressions, the ancestral master also did not have this kind of magic. Thus, he awakened the 12 hall masters and the 4 protectors to rush over on their flying swords. However, they were a step too late. Reflected in their eyes was something like an azura, and the wretched sight of the desolation of trauma filled their eyes. Half of the place was cold and icy to the bone like the extreme north. Half was burnt by flame and choking as if they had reached the underworld of purgatory. As far as the eye could see, there were the bodies of both schools' 100 disciples. The protectors and hall masters grieved, crying out loud and heartbroken, the sound shaking 100. 6. How could this be? Ling Xian said, trembling. It was still the Taoist Luo River that was the most calm. He shouted, quickly go look for the ancestor. A moment after, a hall master discovered Qin Zhonglin's corpse in addition to Ancestor Bailey's remaining adornments. 1 act of a liver and guts cut to pieces, 7th fact was placed before them. Immediately, several cultivators nearly fainted. Impossible, how could the ancestral master? Ling Xian was dumbfounded. This result was something they did not anticipate in any event. The ambush by 100 disciples guided by the Grand Azure Dragon Territory's front-ranking cultivator was unexpectedly completely extinguished. Who would believe this if they spoke of it? For the sake of the ancestral master's revenge, we must slaughter Lin Chong. Every cultivator was extremely furious. This was the heaviest price the Blooming Watersword sect had paid since its founding. Everyone currently wished for the aftermath of their killing to quickly arrive. Headmaster. The Taoist Luo River's face was enveloped with cold frost. For today's disgrace, this sect and Lin Chong's Star Master cannot coexist together. Ling Xian and the other hall masters, hear my orders. Subordinates present. The cultivators were solemn. Immediately send out the Alliance of 10 kill warrant. 8. Have the Alliance of 10 smother Lin Chong. The Taoist Luo River's voice was frigid. The Alliance of 10 kill warrant was the Azure Dragon Territory's 10 great schools. Once it was issued, it signified that the other 9 great sects necessarily had to kindly provide their assistance. However, with this much on one hand, everything that occurred on Grindstone Mountain inevitably would be known by the other sections. Although this matter would become a disgrace upon the Blooming Watersword sect, at this very moment, it was already not the time for face. Even the ancestral master was dead, so it was obvious how frightening Lin Chong was. The Taoist Luo River would not brave this danger. Shall we inquire with the ancestral master? Ling Xian asked. The Taoist Luo River muttered to himself, I shall personally report to the ancestral master. Gazing towards that Grindstone Mountain, the Taoist Luo River looked fierce. This Taoist will make Lin Chong in the Azure Dragon Territory have no place to stand, unable to move a single step. Everyone of the Blooming Watersword sect at Grindstone Mountain searched the surrounding 100 li for ages, and only after they buried the disciples' bodies did they unwillingly leave. They had not left for long, when the group including the Taoist Luo River did not discover a white cloud in the 100 li above Grindstone Mountain slowly separate. An exceedingly refined girl sat upon this mist, carrying a trace of a profoundly mysterious smile as she leisurely departed. 9. Just at the time of the Blooming Watersword sect shook, everywhere in the Azure Dragon Territory and the Vermilion Bird Territory simultaneously shook because of the crimson fall of 2 stars and the rising of another crimson star. Only 3 years had passed since the start of the star duels, and according to what was recorded in the past, the very first 4 or 5 years was the time star generals hid their strengths and bided their time. The majority of star masters were unlikely to truly be irreconcilable adversaries, even if they met. Nowadays, this split-second fall of 2 stars was considered rarely seen, especially with the raising of another. As long as a person had even a bit of brain, they would also feel this was a dangerous sign. The Alliance of 10 Chase to Kill warrant was transmitted down immediately. The Lin Chong that signed a contract alarmed the entire Azure Dragon Territory, and Lin Chong's master was one who made his name in war. The 10 great allied schools and the 100 great schools all without exception established an oath to smother the majestic star. In a while, Grindstone Mountain's paired star faults had been fervently blown up into many problems and troubles, becoming the topic every cultivator leisurely chatted about. To increasingly distort the truth, Grindstone Mountain's paired star fault was more and more exaggerated. Su Xing was portrayed as a being with formidable powers, an ugly monster that used some shameful method to dominate Lin Chong. His cultivation was extremely strange, opening some kind of mysterious halo. When he killed the Blooming Watersword sect's ancestor, 1 summoned Purple Thunder Heavenly Calamity, spur on 9 Underworld Magic Flame, 11, later and the Supercluster Cultivator was tyrannically and simply killed. This method and power could be rated as very frightening, just like its terrible name could be compared with the demonic head of those days. Due to not knowing the name of Lin Chong's master, everyone dubbed him this nickname for him, Purple Thunder Monster. 12. However, how could Su Xing know at this time of these gossipy scandals? Traversing over land and sea, recuperating for many days, did he finally return to Heavenly Water City. Entering inside the city, Su Xing discovered people everywhere were discussing the purple thunder monster incident. Inquisitively listening briefly about this matter, he found this monster was truly ferocious. It extinguished 100 galaxy cultivators at once in a single move, and he also heard it could get rid of several star generals in a flash. Seeing those people turn pale at the mention of a tiger, yet having a longing and admiring expression, Su Xing said to himself, "Strange, just what day was this that would turn out a frightening monster as this? Xinjie, have you heard of what the cause was behind this purple thunder monster?" Su Xing asked. Hearing from these people's words, this monster made the Azure Dragon Territory's 10 great sects issue a kill warrant, truly something extraordinary. The Knowledge Star thought for a long time and still could not figure anything out. "I have heard of the Heavenly Een monster, however this is really strange. Listening to their description, it is somewhat familiar." Wu Xinjie gloomily could not think up of anything. Could it be those different tribes of devil schools, the Vermilion Bird Territory or the Black Turtle Territory, are again preparing to assault the Azure Dragon Territory? Shi Yuan eagerly suggested. Her excited voice seemed to have been anticipating this for a long time. "Impossible. In short, just be careful." Su Xing wrinkled his brow, looking all around. His alert manner made the girls puzzled. "Su Xing, what's going on?" Shi Yuan asked. Even if she had signed a contract, she still liked to directly call out Su Xing's name. However, these two words, Su Xing, were very sweet, making Wu Xinjie quite jealous. "I feel that after we entered the city, lots of people are paying attention to me." After Shi Yuan became his star general, Su Xing's current divine sight was considerably keen. Even though he had not practiced any sort of martial art pertaining to the exercise of divine sight, his pure divine intent as before was in the same realm, lofty and outstanding. The ill gazes of several visitors were somewhat sharp. Su Xing already painstakingly used a qi hiding art when he entered the city, but he did not expect he would still be locked onto. Might as well mention, every star general possessed her own unique abilities. After star masters signed a contract, they would share in the star general's star energy and a few of her abilities. The thief star Shi Yuan's ability was hide qi, and even if Su Xing did not use the oneness of heaven and man, the hide qi's capabilities were also very good. Be careful, the Blooming Water Sword sect definitely will go mad. If they issued an alliance of 10 kill warrant, then that will not be easy to manage. Wu Xinjie suddenly recalled something, saying so seriously. Alliance of 10 kill warrant. Su Xing was just not that interested when he heard this name. Su Xing carefully hid towards the efficacious star's residence. On the road, Wu Xinjie briefly introduced the usage of this alliance of 10 kill warrant. The so-called alliance of 10 naturally was the 10 schools of 1 clear, 2 halls, 3 palaces, and 4 sword sections. Previously, the Devil Cult tribes spied on Azure Dragon Territory's resources and several times launched star cultivator wars. The Azure Dragon Territory once was in a crisis for a time, and the current's Heavenly Spirit Holy Master, too, established this alliance of 10. By means of these 10 great sects as heads, more than 100 schools were administered, forming an integral whole joined in opposition against the invading tribes. Ordinarily, if this alliance of 10 kill warrant was transmitted down, the other allies necessarily had to fulfill their obligation to chase to kill. It can't be? Chase to kill? Shi Yuan was speechless. Although the 10 great sects harbor ulterior motives nowadays, if they really issue an alliance of 10 kill warrant, that will be more troublesome. Wu Xinjie muttered to herself. Even if the other factions disregarded it, they would at least inform the Blooming Water Sword sect as a special favor. It's a bit thorny. Su Xing did not hope to get rid of 100 disciples from the 4 great sword sects. A meticulously nurtured star master and a supercluster ancestral master was unlike anything that had happened before. A supercluster cultivator's death definitely would make the Blooming Water Sword sect violently change. Even if it really issued one, it was an unworthy accident. Thinking to hear, Su Xing added even more caution and speed to his pace. When he reached the residence, he entered from the back. The one who opened the door was Suwen. Seeing Su Xing, Her eyes right away brimmed with tears, and she restrained her excitement. "Big brother, quickly come in." Locking the door, Insuin led Su Xing to a private room. "Is little sister Shi Yuan all right?" Insuin was nervous and restless. She both did not want to see something happen to Su Xing and did not want something to have happened to Shi Yuan, but seeing Su Xing return alone, the efficacious star divine physician had an ominous premonition. "Thanks, sister, for your concern. I am exceedingly fine." Several lights flashed forth, and 3 maidens appeared in succession at Su Xing's side. "Ah," and Suwen covered her mouth, amazed as she pointed at the thief star that fantastically emerged from the star nest. The thief star hugged Su Xing's arm, intimately saying, "Suwen, introducing this servant's master to make your acquaintance. Big brother Su Xing, you contracted Shi Yuan?" And Suwen very quickly regained her calm. Wu Xinjie secretly admired how quickly she could calm down. If it was someone else who was aware that Su Xing contracted 3 star maidens, perhaps there would be a moment of first-rate blankness. Su Xing nodded. "Congratulations, big brother Su Xing, congratulations, little sister Shi Yuan." And Suwen smiled, her eyes slightly holding a trace of envy. "Big brother definitely is very tired. Suwen shall go help big brother. Elder sister and little sister, please bring a few pills over. I've really troubled you some." Su Xing was sorry. Grindstone Mountain's battle made the 3 wasted and exhausted. Recuperating for several days, they still had not recovered. Currently, thinking of that supercluster cultivator brought bits of lingering fear. If it was not for relying on the Knowledge Star's heavenly calamity talisman, that truly was difficult to say. Shi Yuan deeply was aware that Su Xing went to save her facing an unbelievable risk. In her heart, she was filled with sweet happiness and was moved. Her gaze towards Su Xing was indeed full of tender feelings, but it was difficult for her to express that. Lin Yingmei very helplessly sighed towards these 2 sisters. Master's virgin body seemed to be anything but reassured. "Right, quickly look at what harvest we had." Shi Yuan excitedly rubbed her fists and wiped her palms. As an accomplished robber, she treated the spoils of war with quite the expectations at any moment. Su Xing threw out several astral bags. Battling at Grindstone Mountain, Su Xing lost the pure gold shield, the heaven-concealing parasol, more than 50 thunderfire bullets, and the star energy of the blaze refining saber that had been warmly nurtured for a long time was completely exhausted. Of course, these were tolerable. The most regretful perhaps was the Knowledge Star Wu Yong's life-saving talisman, Heavenly Calamity Talisman. This supreme-grade talisman's value naturally did not need more mentioning. Just the power to rapidly dispatch a galaxy cultivator was enough to intimidate Liangshan continent. What a pity the soul copy would be used up just like that. Wu Xinjie actually was not that distressed. Compared to Su Xing's safety, never mind that it was the Heavenly Calamity Talisman, even if it was the heaven-concealing star feather fan that was tossed, it was only but so. Compared to their losses, laying out the gains this time would make anyone stupefied. The pile of things from the several astral bags included knives, forks, swords and halberds, jade, stones and pearls, letters and books, long banners and prayer flags, as well as a large amount of rare and colorful talismans, mechanisms and materials. More than a dozen black bronze flasks of all sizes faintly emitted a medical fragrance. Further, there was a top-quality crystal carved and chiseled to completion. A large bottle more than 1 che high, sealing charms added to its top, was filled on the inside with a few fantastic spirits, illuminating the inside of the bottle like fireflies. "It's a soul-sealing bottle." 5 Shi Yuan's eyes lit up. The soul-sealing bottle, the special bottle that the Divine Machine clan used when it manufactured mechanical beasts, and it could urge spirits to be enclosed within the bottle. Shi Yuan manufactured mechanisms, and she happened to wonder about what to do with those spirits. Now, this soul-sealing bottle was truly a great help. Worthy of being called the Thousand Machine Gang's Star Master, it seemed the sect cultivated Gong Su without sparing anything. Other than this, Shi Yuan also found a soul wug. 6. Putting all the souls into the wug could make these souls mutually devour one another to advance them to a higher rank soul. The Divine Machine clan in those years exploited soul wugs to manufacture powerful energy sources for commander mechanical beasts. 7. Otherwise, how could legends say a 10th rank commander's soul wug could be found by the Divine Machine clan? However, this soul wug seemed to be somewhat coarse. It was a basic grade magic tool, in the end manufacturing 4th grade souls. With the material to manufacture, the souls and such naturally could not do without exercising the divine intent great technique of controlling mechanical beasts. Powerful divine intent happened to be the Divine Machine clan's greatest characteristic. Relying on these powerful divine intents, could they order about countless inconceivable and magical mechanisms and large objects that spread intent divine art. 9. Gong Su brought also was considered not bad. Besides Gong Su's, Qin Zhonglin's items were also not few. The Blooming Water Sword sect had even more fame than the Thousand Machine Gang, rich and overbearing. Inside his astral bag, they found 20 liang of relic blade sand. It seems it was Ancestor Bailey that specially procured this for Qin Zhonglin's Star General to refine. It was just that the second refinement that needed 40 liang did not refine in time, and that shortage of 20 liang was currently inside Su Xing's pocket. Water turned to sword art. 10. Blooming Water Divine Thunder True Technique Chant. 11. And such, as well as the artifacts actually were far more impressive than Gong Su's. Just a galaxy artifact Blood Ran pot was enough to make up for Su Xing's artifact losses. Finally, everyone's line of sight all went towards Ancestor Bailey's things. A supercluster cultivator evidently made them even more inquisitive, and how could the things carried on the body of the nearly peak cultivator in the Azure Dragon territory be inferior? Just the assorted sizes of black bronze vials of medicines was more than a dozen bottles. 45 Blooming Water Cultivating Origin Pills was sufficient to let Su Xing's Blooming Water Divine Thunder to progress like it was flying. Inside the Heavenly Calamity Talisman, Ancestor Bailey wasted away nearly all of his artifacts and magic weapons to resist the Heavenly Calamity. Only a 9 Dragon's Ice Seal painting and a Galaxy Supreme Grade Artifact Water Parting Dragon Binding Net were left. Other than this, Ancestor Bailey had hoarded some of many rarely seen materials. 2 dark red 6-petal little grass. Its leaves had a dark-colored heart symbol linking its 6 leaves into a single whole, mutually shining, faintly emitting a sort of fantastic reaction. A stalk of verdant and succulent bamboo sparkled like jade, with pure and magnificent light. Its interior was like jadeite, dark green-colored glass, and the bamboo emitted a clear and charming air, seeping into the soul. Smelling this was incomparably soothing, more profound than a panacea. "Do you recognize this?" Su Xing asked. The 3 girls all shook their heads. They were not adept at crystal and stone materials. Wait for little Sis Suwen to come and then ask her. She's the divine physician, and will be the most expert towards this. Wu Xinjie said. It really serves them right? Shi Yuan hummed. The future will still be more worrisome. The Blooming Water Sword sect will not be prepared to let this go. Wu Xinjie said. Stealing the Blooming Water Divine Thunder True technique was considered unwise, and originally losing it was but so. She had never thought it would draw the Blooming Water Sword sect's counterattack, only naturally because of a 5 Spirits Law heavenly book. The Knowledge Star was not at all regretful, and even if she was given a second opportunity to choose, the outcome would still be this way. This jade-stripped Lining Mei suddenly let out a bewildered voice. Upon her emotionless face, she revealed a rare trace of astonishment. What's the matter? Is something inside? Su Xing asked, smiling. Lining Mei lifted her head and looked at her master. This was the first time she had a kind of startled expression of being shocked. Master, you take a look. She threw the jade strip over. The majestic star pursed her lips, somewhat carrying a trace of pity. This cultivator perhaps died but will not close his eyes. Su Xing was indeed inquisitive about the contents inside that jade strip that could make the cool Lining Mei slightly regretful. Taking the jade strip and examining it, reflected into his mind were 9 flamboyant ancient characters. Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 Element Sword. Hearing this rather extraordinary name, it must be known that Heavenly Spirit, Earthly Fiend, Purple Star were the levels of grades for astral treasures. To dub these all at once onto the sword, clearly this was very interesting. Su Xing proceeded to explore it, and his expression changed. The exaggeration of the interior of the jade strip far exceeded his expectations. The jade strip recorded a short, immemorial sword chart, and this sword chart was very interesting. The first half was not sword arts or powers but rather an excessively lengthy segment introducing material pertaining to training the sword. Recorded inside was every sort of as yet unheard of forging materials. Altogether it was split into 9 chapters of solar, lunar, astral, draconic, metallic, wooden, aquatic, flame, and earthen. 2. For example, the metallic chapter's sword forging materials, the 9th rank heaven-tearing gold dragons, 3. Golden dragon scales as a sword bone and transforming dragon saliva as a supplementary material. Secondly, there were also other materials. In brief, the metallic chapter's sword forging simply was a super magic weapon. After Wu Xinjie and Shi Yuan finished reading, they were also stupefied. Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 Elements Sword, unexpectedly, it's an immemorial sword art. That old Taoist actually could get this sort of thing. Wu Xinjie clicked her tongue. This is an immemorial sword art? Su Xing asked, surprised. Each of the sword forging materials of the 9 chapters were unique, any one of them enough to shock Liangshan continent. In addition, this manner of sword unexpectedly was not a standalone, rather it was a sword art linked together, actually making Su Xing not dare to believe. Wu Xinjie nodded. The Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 Elements Sword in Liangshan continent was one of the well-known supreme-grade immemorial sword arts. The sword altogether was divided into the 9 varieties of molds: solar, lunar, astral, draconic, metallic, wooden, aquatic, flame, and earthen. Each type had a most outstanding supreme-grade forging material, and every type altogether had 12 handles. With 9 types, it just happened to be 108 swords. Legend said the cultivator that could refine a Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 Elements sword could turn the 5 elements upside down, reverse heaven and earth, and rampage through Liangshan. Su Xing did not doubt this point. On the basis of every sword's material brought out alone, it could raise frightening skies and stormy seas. Turn the 5 elements upside down? Shi Yuan was moved. Every person in Liangshan continent possessed a unique 5 elements constitution. The 5 elements supported or suppressed one another, often with a result that caught people off guard. What arbitrarily turning the 5 elements upside down signified went without saying. Such a great influence. Su Xing was in awe and slightly sympathetic to Ancestor Bailey. The Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 Element Sword was very famous in Liangshan. Things pertaining to it circulated widely, however, because the requirements to forge this divine weapon were too harsh. Every kind of sword material all were extremely unique, rarely seen, and even somewhat never before seen, whether it be 1 or 10. Only by creating the 108 could the power of the Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 Elements Sword be realized. And that was enough to make cultivators hope and timidly step forward. This kind of immemorial remnant sword art in the Azure Dragon territory was even more like an exceedingly distant legend. Ancestor Bailey was a supercluster cultivator. As a top-ranking cultivator in the Azure Dragon territory as well as a large sex ancestral master, having this type of immemorial sword art's secret recipe was not strange. Has no one ever forged it? Su Xing felt this was pitiful. Su Xing, it will do for you to forge it. You have we 3 sisters, which Liangshan has never had. The thief Star Shi Yuan giggled. The harder something was, the more she wanted to challenge it. Seeing the materials listed, Su Xing currently did not have any strength to make a vain attempt. However, Shi Yuan had a phrase that resonated deeply with Su Xing. As far as Su Xing was concerned, challenging the limits was actually nothing out of the ordinary for him. Not long after, Insuan entered the room bringing a few self-made pills, also conveniently sparing no effort in fully using the spiritual aura distribution to replenish everyone's vitality. Su Xing then asked her about a few of Ancestor Bailey's materials. As expected, An Suwen was worthy of being called the efficacious star, the divine physician. Panaceas and grasses of all kinds, not unaware of any, seeing that red petal, An Suwen went blank. Life-bound heart flower. The life-bound heart flower was a strange flower used to forge magic weapons and artifacts. Every petal reacted to one another, and pouring it into a sword art or into a sword array could make the power of the magic energy exhibit the greatest levels. Moreover, pouring into the life-bound heart flower, even if other people obtained it, it was difficult to erase the original owner's divine intent. This kind of strange flower, according to the market value in gold, one stalk was worth a minimum of 10,000 pieces of platinum. In gold, that was 100 million liang at the very least. That jadeite bamboo was even more serious. An Suwen nearly shouted when she saw it. 1,000-year suppressing evil gem bamboo. 5. Suppressing evil gem bamboo was a wood category of supreme grade spirit item, and this item had a deity effect. The magic weapons forged from this could exorcise and suppress demons. The pure spiritual energy contained in the 1,000-year suppressing evil gem bamboo could steadily nourish cultivators and expand their magic energy. This kind of thing basically was invaluable, and there was hearsay that Heavenly Gem Valley, 6, merely kept a little. This old Taoist unexpectedly collected such a rarely seen thing. Shi Yuan was speechless. Could it be he was gathering the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5-element swords materials? Wu Xinjie was amazed. Heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5-element sword? And Suwen went blank. Su Xing promptly opened the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5-element sword's wooden chapter. Taking a look, he drew in a breath of cold air. For the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5-element sword to forge a wood element sword, the main ingredients happen to require a stick of suppressing evil gem bamboo, a life-bound heart flower and some putuo black bamboo sand. 7. Su Xing opened those flasks, and he really found a purple and green bottle. Inside was precisely the putuo black bamboo sand. Then, isn't that saying Master currently can forge a wood element magic sword? Lin Yingmei unexpectedly said. I'm afraid not. Su Xing shook his head, a little regretful. Although the materials to forge a wooden sword were complete, the jade strip had the seals and the procedures for the magic circle and such to forge it. What Su Xing understood about weapon refinement was merely limited to a few of Wu Tai's experiences and notes. Classified as that sort of grade of beginner who just got his foot in the door, to forge this kind of divine weapon, how could Su Xing have any background? It could be seen from Ancestor Bailey retaining these materials and not refining that he could not be careless about this matter. What a pity, what a pity. Shi Yuan really felt this was too pitiful. If we let the gold coin spotted leopard Tang Long forge it, then it isn't impossible. Wu Xinjie muttered, asking, do you know where Tang Long is? The gold coin spotted leopard Tang Long was an expert in forging and weapon refinement in the 108 star generals. Using her abilities, forging this was not any sort of problem. And Suwen and Shi Qian shook their heads. The gold coin spotted leopard Tang Long's star was the solitary star, and her natural disposition was very reclusive, practically wishing to never encounter any star generals. In the past star duels, the solitary star Tang Long often was in the final few stages. Only when her identity was revealed would she be found by other star masters. Speaking from a certain kind of respect, her presence concealment was even more powerful than Shi Qian's. Since this approach would not work, the sole method was only to do it themselves. Having ample food and clothing, giving this to other people, no one could be relieved. As it happened, Su Xing also wanted to experience refining bullets. Shopkeeper Su, something's happened. This moment, the nervous yell of a waiter suddenly came through. And Suwen walked out, and in less than 10 minutes, she returned. The divine physician's face carried a trace of a grave expression. Big brother Su Xing, all of you sisters, let us quickly depart. What's happened? Everyone was stunned. And Suwen bitterly smiled. Suwen was careless. Someone has discovered the relationship between the cottage and big brother Su Xing and informed the blooming water sword sect. Right now, there is currently a great quantity of cultivators here to arrest Big Brother. Little sister will go look again. Also, Big Brother, take my sisters and be careful. And Suin called, then turned around and walked out the door. Su Xing somewhat worried for her. Wu Xinjie smiled and said, "Young master, you'd best relax." Little sister Suin, he enjoyed fame for healing the sick and dying in Heavenly Water City. Down to the last layman and up to the rippling Wave Kingdom's royal family, everyone without exception reveres her. Many star cultivators also frequently purchase some pills at the health cottage. Shi Yuan nodded in approval. This young lady also only became acquainted with her after pass through Heavenly Water City and hearing Suin's fame. Although this much was said, Su Xing felt just letting a star maiden without an inch of steel confront 100 star cultivators was still a bit not too wise. You go watch over her. Be careful. Lin Yingmei nodded and left. Wu Xinjie watched Lin Yingmei leave, looked around, then lightly pranced toward Su Xing. Young master, just now, Xinjie recalled there is another item that needs to be handed over to young master. What thing? Wu Xinjie's face wore a giddy red, and she suddenly undressed. 2. The Shi Yuan to the side, who was in the middle of comprehending the MO attack mechanism records, saw Wu Xinjie bare her breasts. 3. Opening her eyes wide. It's come to this time, so don't make trouble. Su Xing's voice was somewhat stern. Wu Xinjie gave a wry smile, making a coquettish glance. Young master, what are you thinking about? Xinjie is just returning the golden thread fish scale armor to young master. Her clothing softly fell, revealing a finely threaded, fish-scaled golden soft armor. I'll leave this for you since you have use for it anyways. Su Xing touched his nose. Xinjie holding on to this is also a waste. Wu Xinjie walked close to Su Xing and straddled his thigh. That winding virgin fragrance indeed managed to stir up feelings. Should something befall young master, what should we sisters do? The knowledge star glanced at the Shi Yuan sitting before the table, the latter already dumbfounded. Young master, could you help Xinjie undress? Wu Xinjie said in a low and charming voice, both hands wrapped around Su Xing's shoulders. Su Xing inwardly said, what an alluring woman. Grabbing the golden thread fish scale armor's hem, he pulled it upwards. Wu Xinjie lifted her arms, sticking out her chest. The embroidery had a lotus light blue, and her undergarments were then raised into the clouds. That towering plumpness seemed to want to break out of her clothes. Wu Xinjie was just about to stick on her red lips when, at this time, a low cry came from outside the door. Big brother. And Suin's face was red, and she turned her head away. Wu Xinjie. Lin Yingmei truly was furious to death. Could it be this knowledge star did not know the price of losing her virginity? 5. Xinjie only is returning the golden thread fish scale armor to young master. Wu Xinjie pecked him, then left Su Xing's thigh, picking up her clothes to cover her sexy upper body. Shi Yuan covered her feverish nose. Wu Xinjie, you really are too bold. Wu Xinjie looked at her out of the corner of her eye. Elder sister doing so very much indeed has a purpose. How is it outside? Su Xing changed the topic. Master, many of the blooming water sword sect's people that have great cultivations are almost here. The blooming water sword sect really did issue the alliance of 10-kill warrant. Lin Yingmei's tone was ice cold. We had better leave first. This place is the blooming water sword sect's domain. Wu Xinjie tidied her hair, muttering, the alliance of 10-kill warrant seems dreadful, but the other 9 schools would not necessarily stick themselves out for the blooming water sword sect. It's just that the other schools' star masters are somewhat troublesome. The majestic star who signed a contract definitely would shake the entire Azure Dragon territory, and it was hard to say if these star masters had a killing mindset. There is a small transfer magic circle, 6, in the middle of the house. Big brother can follow Suin. And Suin promptly said, Sister Suin, you surprisingly prepared the small transfer magic circle? Shi Yuan asked, astonished. And Suin also guards against the unexpected. Wu Xinjie thought this was a matter of course. Because of Suin's calm and attention, there absolutely was no possibility she did not keep a way out. From outside the room suddenly came a booming noise. Several powerful pressures enveloped the residence. Through the window, in the air were several brilliant lights. Majestic star! Quickly roll yourself outside and accept death. A chilly woman's voice shouted. There is no time to lose, we had better leave quickly. Wu Xinjie and Shi Yuan indicated. The two people knew that at this time, they could not be a burden on Su Xing, and they immediately hid into the star nest as Lin Yingmei took the Arctic Star Serpent Spear in her hand. Your servant shall shield master. The majestic star was about to rush out, but she was grabbed by Su Xing. Master? Don't be impulsive. Su Xing shook his head. Judging by the imposing air from outside the door, there were at least 10 galaxy stage cultivators and even more star cultivators were approaching here as an unending flow to provide assistance. These star cultivators came prepared, so how could dealing with them be this simple? The small transfer array is in a storeroom not far away. We just need to get there. And Suwen said in a low voice. I've implicated little sister. Su Xing felt guilty. And Suwen shook her head. Several dozen sword lights filled the sky and shot downwards. Those already unable to hold back had used the ability of their sword arts, and they heard the woman who spoke initially shout in astonishment, Headmaster, that divine physician is still inside. Harboring a hoodlum, death cannot wipe out the crimes. The Taoist Luo River coldly smiled. The house loudly collapsed, and the 100 sword lights were blocked by Lin Yingmei's Arctic Star Serpent Spear. Arctic Star Serpent Spear? It really is the majestic star. The several dozen star cultivators in the sky were stunned. Do not be afraid. Lin Chong first offended my sect in the past, and I presume that Liangshan Maiden will not say anything. The Taoist Luo River pointed a hand seal, and the sky swirled a water thunder. That blooming water divine thunder was just like a blue wave of a dragon surging through the sea of clouds. Thunderlight accumulated, and it seemed that as far as control of the blooming water divine thunder was concerned, the control was considerably brilliant. He was worthy of being called the blooming water sword sect's headmaster. Go! The Taoist Luo River pointed. The thunderlight dragon rolled screaming towards the three people. Lin Yingmei shouted, clear and ringing. She lifted the Arctic Star Spear above her, and the spear edge cut open a dense, cold light. The cold light then collided with the blooming water divine thunder into a single piece, and the sky above Heavenly Water City immediately exploded with a water-blue thunderlight. Su Xing at this moment continuously discharged Silver Blade. All of the thunder fire bullets were completely shot out. More than 50 thunder fire bullets in the shortest of times filled the entire space, and the power of the other star cultivators' artifacts and techniques slammed together. These galaxy cultivators' magic energy broke the thunder fire bullets like paper scraps. Su Xing did not expect the thunder fire bullets to have any kind of threat, but what he needed was only to fight for a bit of time. The thunder fire bullets detonated in the sky into 50 balls of flame, the explosions continuous, unexpectedly forming a frightening grandeur. A few star cultivators that wanted to rush over were immediately blown back. Let's leave quickly, Su Xing hastily said. The three ran towards the storeroom. Don't think of running. The Taoist Luo River's cultivation was the highest. Seeing they wanted to run, he suddenly shouted. During that sudden shout, what appeared in his hand was a completely dark blue, having 9 segments, circulating amulets, just like flowing water long whip. One look could discern this was not an ordinary artifact. The Taoist Luo River thrashed it, and the long whip hacked towards their faces, tearing a blue light. The thunder fire bullet's remaining power was unexpectedly entirely eliminated under this whip. The Arctic Star Spear blocked, and the long whip burst out a terrible thunder. The web between Lin Yingmei's thumb and forefinger tore, her whole body trembled, and she vomited a mouthful of blood. Even a 1-star Arctic Star Spear was unable to support her, frightening indeed. You take Suwen and leave, Su Xing ordered, his tone leaving no room for refusal. Lin Yingmei immediately retreated back and rushed with Suwen towards the storeroom. You indeed are a man. The Taoist Luo River coldly smiled. See if you can or cannot block this sex astral treasure. Shooting Star Whip. 7. Shooting Star Whip. Unexpectedly, it was an astral treasure. How could Su Xing dare to touch it? Spitting out a mouthful of essence blood, the essence blood condensed then dispersed. A golden long sword shockingly appeared in his hand. It was that Vajra's evil smiting sword. This Vajra's evil smiting sword was acquired from overcoming the Devil Star Giant in the Cloud Song Jia, a 1-star evil smiting sword already completely filled with star energy. Originally, Su Xing's artifacts greatly decreased, and he wanted to use the Vajra's evil smiting sword to prepare for future misfortunes. He never expected he would have to use it this soon. Seeing that the Taoist Luo River had brought out an astral treasure, it was too late for Su Xing to have regrets. His hand clenched the evil smiting sword, a golden light flashing. Go! The space was taken over by a lacerating blue light. The long whip was like a shooting star, fiercely falling upon Su Xing's head. Great Wisdom King Cleave. Su Xing's star energy gathered, and the Vajra's sword blocked the shooting star whip's might. A golden sword light flushed out of the evil smiting sword and formed a frightening augur shape. 8. That astral treasure was matchlessly powerful. Surprisingly, a whip could whip apart a Great Wisdom King Cleave's sword light into 2 halves, just like a sharp weapon would part the sea. However, a Star General star weapon was not inferior to an astral treasure, and the divided sword light was still imposing and fierce. A sharp whip crack whipped onto Su Xing, and Su Xing was fiercely in pain. This shooting star whip was quite terrible. Whipping onto his body, his skin hurt with a painful heat. His own protective star energy had instantly been torn apart. His internal organs and body seemed to have been whipped into 2 halves. He was in enough pain to wish that he was no longer alive. Fortunately, the Vajra's evil smiting sword's Great Wisdom King Cleave already got rid of a majority of the power. Otherwise, if this whipped his body, Su Xing simply would not need to lament nonsense. He would have been directly crippled. Young Master! Su Xing! Wu Xinjie and Shi Yuan in the star nest simultaneously cried out, their worries far exceeding these wounds, but the two knew that they could not do anything if they appeared. On the other hand, if there were 3 stars at the same time, they risked turning their master into a genuine public enemy. For the time being, they could only restrain themselves. The Taoist Luo River also received the Great Wisdom King Cleave's attack. Luckily, his magic energy was robust and he had artifacts to protect himself that resisted it, but the second time he drew the whip, he briefly hesitated. The blooming water sword sects other star cultivators to point their flying swords and pounce towards the Su Xing struggling on his deathbed. Just at this moment, a brilliant light flashed. Purple thunder, heavenly calamity. Go! With a cold yell, the thief star Shi Yuan fantastically left the star nest, throwing out more than a dozen purple talismans. Those pouncing star cultivators immediately were scared to a stop by the attack, continuously fleeing in every direction to avoid this purple talisman. The evil reputation of that purple thunder monster that killed Ancestor Bailey more or less had that much of a shadow in their hearts. And this much of a split second gave Su Xing a chance to catch his breath. Master, leave. Shi Yuan shielded Su Xing, promptly seizing the chance to retreat into the storeroom. As it turned out, at this moment, Ensuan's small transfer array already launched. They entered the small transfer array, and in an instant, the room distorted, brilliant light scattering in all directions. Moreover, those startled apart cultivators looked. The purple talismans that were thrown out were but ordinary miasma chi talismans. 9. Immediately, they were stamped their feet in anger, hastily controlling their flying swords to move over for the kill. The Taoist Luo River regained a bit of his vigor, the shooting star whip hacking towards them. The storeroom split open with a bang. Not good, it's a small transfer array. Ling Xian shouted loudly. Countless flying swords and artifacts fiendishly attacked. But at this moment, it was already a step too late. The small transfer array flashed, and Su Xing and the rest disappeared from sight. Exactly at this time, the storeroom was leveled by the cold light of countless flying swords. The abilities of Liangshan continent's favorite magic circles stretched back to the distant past, and among them, the transfer magic circle that could teleport 1,000 li away was even more of an absolute. Although the small transfer magic circle could not be compared with that sort of large transfer magic circle that could flash away 1,000,000 li, moving within 100 li was sufficient to leave the Taoist Luo River with no strategy left to try. How could a divine physician have this sort of thing? Ling Xian was stunned. I'm afraid it seems that divine physician is not simple. The Taoist Luo River very fiercely recalled the shooting star whip, ordering, "Immediately go search." This Taoist does not believe he can run away within 100 li. 200 li outside of Heavenly Water City, the lower reaches of the Heavenly River, Tile Dyke Village, a common house, and an azure light appeared within the courtyard. Subsequently and unhurriedly, several figures appeared out of thin air. "Big brother! Young master, master!" Brimming with anxiety, there were concerned shouts. Su Xing vomited a mouthful of blood, half kneeling on the ground. Still, Shi Yuan deftly lent him an arm as support. "Quickly have young master enter the house." Wu Xinjie left the star nest, frightened and dreading. Shi Yuan promptly carried Su Xing into the house. Do not underestimate her as seemingly slim and delicate, for her powerful strength was not the average sort. Parting his clothes, the flesh and skin on the inside flipped out to reveal a wretched sight that made everyone's heart ache. That shooting star whip truly was demonic. A deep and clearly visible wound from his shoulder straight to his thigh bubbled forth blood like an injection. Luckily, Wu Xinjie gave Su Xing the golden thread fish scale armor to put on beforehand, otherwise, they truly did not dare to imagine what would have happened this time. However, even if things were like this, that golden thread fish scale armor had a ghastly hole torn into it by the shooting star whip. A small cut? Su Xing forced a smile. "Big brother, do not speak. Little sister will help examine you." And Suwen's white hand flipped, showing several small bottles, taking out one of them and pouring some powder onto the wound. The wound immediately seemed to be on fire. It hurt powerfully, and Su Xing grit his teeth. "Little sister, what is this medicine?" "Connecting muscle powder." "2, big brother Su Xing, bear with it for a bit." A white divine light condensed in Suwen's palm. The halo dispersed, and like warm, running water, it fell onto the wound and slowly eased the pain. Then, Suwen again gave Su Xing several spirit pills to ingest. A long time afterwards, Su Xing slowly lost consciousness. "Master, did something happen?" Lin Yingmei asked, somewhat restless. "Sister, you also are injured. Suwen will help examine you." And Suwen cried out in alarm. "This servants is not serious." Lin Yingmei's greatest concern still was Su Xing. Nothing will happen to big brother. The efficacious star the divine physician saying as much made the three girls relax. Shi Yuan gnashed her teeth. That old Taoist truly is savage. Next time, this young lady definitely will steal from his sect until it is overturned, and only then can my hate be resolved. Fortunately, you fooled those star cultivators at the end. Lin Yingmei accepted Suwen's treatment while saying so. If it was not for the thief star's sudden bright idea to lie and bluff those star cultivators' counterattack, perhaps it would be difficult to escape. Shi Yuan sat across from and indicated to the Wu Xinjie at Su Xing's side. "It was Sister Xinjie that wanted me to do that." The knowledge star asked if I had purple talismans, that saying it was the purple thunder heavenly calamity could help Su Xing break the encirclement, and it actually worked. Everyone has taken big brother Su Xing to be the purple thunder monster. They definitely have been scared stiff. And Suwen interjected a word. Lin Yingmei thoughtfully looked at Wu Xinjie. "What should we do next? Those star cultivators seem unlikely to give up. When the master wakes, then we can say more." Su Xing slowly opened his eyes. Raising his body, he saw Wu Xinjie lying next to him, her head resting on her arms. Seeing her selflessly at his side caring for him, Su Xing's heart warmed, and he brushed away the hair on the girl's forehead. Wu Xinjie also slowly awoke, and seeing Su Xing awakened, her exhaustion completely disappeared in an instant. "You take a rest first?" Su Xing smiled. Wu Xinjie smiled as she shook her head. batting her eyes. "Young master, you're finally up." Xinjie almost thought of taking advantage of the time young master was sleeping to commit atrocities. Su Xing sized up the bedroom. A few willow wood furniture filled with books, an old bottle, and a portrait. Seemingly simple and brimming with a literary reputation, the faint fragrance of medicine still lingered in the air. Wu Xinjie explained once through to him what transpired. Su Xing's rest had used 2 days. The efficacious star, the divine physician, and Dao Chuan's medical arts were outstanding. Even if he did not die under this astral treasure, he would have still needed several months to recover at the minimum. Now, that wound on his body had only left behind a faint scar. The two people left the bedroom. Entering the living room, Shi Yuan was right in the middle of meticulously studying every kind of mechanism. When she saw Su Xing, Shi Yuan put down the materials in her hands and, in a pleasant surprise, rushed over and hugged him. Her sweet, skin-tight, well-rounded and lovable body tightly stuck onto him, and Su Xing felt a bit embarrassed towards the thief star's enthusiasm. Wu Xinjie covered her mouth, laughing up her sleeve. Lin Yingmei and An Suwen also returned. Upon seeing Su Xing unhurt, they could not help but sigh in relief. Ever since he had signed a contract with the Majestic Star, this was considered to be the most dangerous thing Su Xing had encountered. Astral treasures truly could not be held in contempt. Su Xing felt around the ripped-open golden thread fish scale armor in a bout of pity. How have the circumstances been recently? Has that sword sect come to the door yet? Su Xing asked. Little Sister Suwen's plan was very thorough. This is within the range of influence of the Heavenly River Sword School. The Blooming Water Sword sect did come, but they very quickly left. Wu Xinjie praised. However, matters appear to be a bit grim. Shi Yuan twitched her mouth. During the time Su Xing lost consciousness, the Knowledge Star had the Thief Star ask around the outside for intelligence to understand the situation. Rather than say that the alliance of 10-kill warrant shook the Azure Dragon territory, it would be more precise to say that the Majestic Star contracting a master in the Azure Dragon territory raised a violent commotion. All star cultivators discussing the topic of star masters spoke of topics pertaining to Lin Chong and her master. They might as well have been paying respects to that purple thunder monster's evil reputation. Although the entire Azure Dragon territory was smothering Lin Chong and Su Xing, just a very few actually dared to kill. A star master that could successively get rid of 2 star generals and even get rid of a supercluster cultivator, and he was also the first master the Majestic Star had in 1,000 years. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Who would easily be willing to provoke him but a few great sects such as the Clear Void Taoists that could act? Of course, the star masters that wished to throttle Su Xing were perhaps not few. Suwen is as bold as to say a word. Currently, the disturbance is this great. Big brother Su Xing had better first hide for about a year and wait for the situation to cool down. What An Suwen said had reason. Right now, the Azure Dragon territory's atmosphere ran high on the mood to kill Lin Chong and her master. Under this atmosphere, everywhere was a great danger. It would be better to first lay low and wait for the fuss to die down, to conceal his strength and bide time. Su Xing currently just happened to need weapon refinement, and he could find a weapon refinement and such sect to hone his strength. Should he be able to forge the wood element sword of the Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5-element sword, that would be a great weapon. But there already are 49 crimson stars. We are 3 stars away from the second phase, birth outline. Probably in these next few months, I'm afraid we will miss it. Wu Xinjie knit her brow. The wind-swayed raft is at a loss. Su Xing is only a nebula middle stage, and his unable to ride a sword also makes this too late, right? Shi Yuan pondered. If this is discovered by those star cultivators, he couldn't run if he wanted to. Lin Yingmei nodded. She felt the top priority was not the matter of the birth outline. As long as I learn sword riding, it will be fine. Su Xing heavily sighed. If he could ride a sword, things would not be so distressing. Refining the frail star energy from the 2 star generals of the battle at Grindstone Mountain, he would soon have reached the apex, but his vigor was greatly injured by the shooting star whip. His current star energy had also reached a bottleneck, and there simply was no hope to break through to Nebula late stage without 3 months. Big brother Su Xing, this kind of matter of cultivation cannot be rushed. And Suwen said. Wu Xinjie stared at Suwen. Suddenly, her eyes shone, revealing a mysterious smile. Xinjie actually has a way. It can let young master enter Nebula late stage within these few days. Knowledge star, what way is there? It definitely cannot harm master. Lin Yingmei and Shi Yuan nervously asked. Wu Xinjie lightly smiled. How could Xinjie harm master? Xinjie indeed is preparing to let master enjoy luck with women. Just what way is this? The knowledge star resourceful star Wu Yong fixed her eyes on Suwen, showing a charming ambiguity. 1. Right arrow curving left 2. I do not have this type of pill. And Suwen apologetically replied. Wu Xinjie giggled. Little sister Suwen, do you like young master Su Xing? Of course I like big brother Su Xing. And Suwen's calm made people feel her affection was that of between brothers and sisters. Su Xing slightly understood what Wu Xinjie was planning. Xinjie, you aren't thinking of having me and Suwen sign a star dual covenant, are you? Exactly. The knowledge star nodded. The group stared blankly. If it was from before, probably they would have felt the knowledge star's brain was frying, but after signing on his third star general, the thief star, Lin Yingmei was not too certain Su Xing had a limit when all was said and done. Elder sister knowledge star is joking. Because big brother Su Xing saved little sister Shi Yuan it was doable, but Suwen appears to not have anything special. The efficacious star the divine physician shook her head and smiled. Suwen, there is never harm in trying, is there? Wu Xinjie also did not have confidence, but since the divine physician and Suwen and Su Xing matched as brother and sister, their relationship could be considered to be very close. Since he could smash Liangshan continent's star dual structure and sign a third star, then how could they definitely not try for a fourth star? Young master, do you agree? Wu Xinjie asked. Suwen is my little sister, that can't be too good, right? Su Xing hesitated. It's precisely because she is your sister that you need to sign. You can never hand over your cute little sister to someone else, right? Wu Xinjie mischievously winked. How could Su Xing not know what she meant? Su Xing did not want to compel others, finally directing an inquiring gaze towards Suwen. If big brother is willing, little sister is willing to give it a try. And Suwen was not in opposition at all. Hurry and try it now. Remember that you must want to sign a contract. Wu Xinjie somewhat expectantly came to a seat and sat together along with Lin Yingmei and Shi Yuan to the side to watch the spectacle, her mood slightly excited. Su Xing approached Suwen, knowing saying anything more was useless. In Liangshan star duels, being able to sign a contract with Suwen was, in the end, not a bad thing. Just as Wu Xinjie said, his little sister certainly needed the love of her own family, and he could not let the fertile water flow to the fields of outsiders. And Suwen's cheeks were a light scarlet. Her clean, bright and beautiful eyes were somewhat expectant and somewhat restless. If she were to say she was not tempted to contract with Su Xing, then she was deceiving herself, but losing to the thief star, she truly did not know what should she do? After all, this did not have a precedent, so Suwen could still have a hopeful fantasy. Are you ready? Su Xing faintly asked. And Suwen affirmed. Su Xing held Suwen's shoulders, and the girl's heart tightened, her palms sweating. Just as she thought of the matter of the contract, she suddenly saw Su Xing lower his head and plant a kiss on top of her lips. This kind of matter of kissing each other's lips, for a moment, made Suwen's entire body motionless. Her eyes opened wide, seemingly incapable of believing, but following Su Xing's tenderness touching her red lips, Suwen's eyes seemingly raised a layer of rain and fog, hazy and moist, sinking down without any sort of resistance. Returning Su Xing's kiss, the efficacious star's first kiss was taken just like that. An orange star crest shimmered on the two people's foreheads, and a gorgeous star array fluttered and whirled. The three beautiful maidens to the side were dumbstruck. A fourth star general. Su Xing really contracted a fourth star general. Sister Xinjie, just what sort of person is Su Xing? Shi Yuan's face was filled with adoration. Contracting 4 sisters, who would believe it if they said so? However, Su Xing truly is very shameless, unexpectedly using a kiss, the thief star giggled. In the sky outside the room, a crimson star gradually lit up. And Su Wen let out an alluring sigh, somewhat reluctant to part as they ended their fervent kiss. Big brother, how could you be like this towards little sister? And Su Wen's tender voice was without strength, her eyes containing 3 parts blame and 7 parts joy. What did I do wrong? Su Xing actually did not know where he went wrong because the 3 before were contracted after the kiss. His subconscious mind believed contracts required a kiss to work. If Su Wen knew her first kiss was this confusedly taken away, she would not know whether she should rejoice or grieve. Master Su Xing, use Ri tu lecherous. No wonder Xinjie wants to satisfy you. Shi Yuan laughed aloud. Wu Xinjie glared at her, and she also saw that Su Xing apparently knew nothing about contracts. She turned her eyes, not at all bluntly pointing things out, but nervously asking, "Young Master Su Xing, do you see anything abnormal?" Su Xing experimented a bit. There was a sudden star energy swelling up inside his body, and his ocean of consciousness had an additional trace of inspiration pertaining to medicine arts and medical knowledge. Clearly, this was the efficacious star the divine physician and Dao Chuan's mark slowly assimilating. From any perspective, this was a perfect and immaculate contract. Su Xing had succeeded signing the contract. His star energy stopped swelling, and as long as he slightly refined Su Wen's star energy to completion, entering nebula late stage was not a problem, and even approaching galaxy was possible. Then Xinjie has a plan. Does young master want to listen? Su Xing nodded as an indication. Currently, 2 stars are still needed, and then the birth outline will begin. It would be better that before the next crimson star falls, young master for now cultivates in Tile Dike village. Then, when the last crimson star remains, go to the divining star platform to inquire about the Liangshan outlaw token. 2. The Liangshan outlaw token was a required item for star masters. Besides rapid cultivation, an absolutely safe secret base also was a great help, and at that time, they would not need to worry about being chased. If Xinjie has not guessed wrongly, nearby the divining star platform definitely will be many enemies waiting for young master to walk right into a trap. Temporarily, it is best to not go. Wu Xinjie judged the situation. Because everyone knew that star masters possessed the token's benefits, the Su Xing being pursued by the alliance of 10 certainly was forced to go to Liangshan. 3. That's fine, however, I will make the Blooming Water Sword sect rescind the kill warrant. Su Xing coldly smiled. The star maidens revealed unconvinced expressions, and even the resourceful star did not know what Su Xing was planning. The Blooming Water Sword sect's strength was greatly injured, and suffering a humiliation, they would need to swallow back down the words they spat. If he really could do it, then he truly was a genius. Wu Xinjie did not ask any more, her unconscious mind nevertheless very convinced Su Xing could turn the tables. In order to deal with the birth outline that could launch at any time, the Knowledge Star even arranged each of their own training plans. Besides the chaotic tail escape and the soul technique, Su Xing first of all used the Blooming Water Cultivating Origin Pills to accelerate the 5 Spirits Law Heavenly Book's Blooming Water Divine Thunder Power. His remaining time was spent cultivating fighting capabilities with the Majestic Star. Lin Yingmei strengthened her yellow rank spear technique Long Blizzard Nights, and if she could comprehend her dark rank spear technique, that would only be even better. The thief star Shi Yuan delved into the MO attack mechanism records puppet mechanism arts and comprehended her dark rank magic. Xinjie herself began to start on preparations for the divining star platform, the birth outline and such of a series of matters. She also made herself enter the dark rank magic. The efficacious star the divine physician naturally was refining a few pills. At any moment, the pills always were able to be used at the pivotal point. Su Wen, how is the training of your essence-swallowing dragon? Wu Xinjie abruptly remembered it. And Su Wen took out an astral gemstone. A slim, almost thread-like, fine demon beast flew out and lay on the girl's shoulder. The essence-swallowing dragon was smaller than it initially was at the Kuan-Wu monument, not trying at all to swallow essence chi. What a pity, there's only one. Su Xing said. Actually it can reproduce more, however, and Su Wen wanted to say something but hesitated. However, what? Could it be needs a lot of expensive essence materials? Wu Xinjie asked. The essence-swallowing dragon uses fissiparity. It needs essence chi to live, and swallowing more perfect essence chi gives it a greater chance to reproduce. However, perfect spirit chi is very rare. Su Xing knew and Su Wen hesitated like this, and he smiled. This suppressing evil gem bamboo. Soon, you take and use it. A blue light flashed, and the suppressing evil gem bamboo appeared. The essence-swallowing dragon saw it and began to stir, but without Su Wen's command, it could only drool with desire. But Big Brother needs it to forge a divine weapon. And Su Wen shook her head. The 1,000-year suppressing evil gem bamboo was an extremely fine nourishment for the essence-swallowing dragon, and it could exhibit great effect during the early stages of training. However, like this, it would be hard to avoid damaging the suppressing evil gem bamboo's perfect spirit chi. Don't worry, this suppressing evil gem bamboo already has 1,000 years. Its perfect spirit chi can self-recover, and leaving it right now is also a waste. Su Xing said. And Su Wen saw this and did not decline any further. Right, which of you can advance your star weapon to its first star? I still have lots of surplus relic blade sand. Su Xing said. Lin Yingmei's Arctic Star Spear required 40 liang of relic blade sand and 6 pieces of daybreak frost and snow essence, 5, to advance to the second star. Su Xing currently had 69 liang of relic blade sand, however, pity that the two did not have a single daybreak frost and snow essence. Lin Yingmei said herself that advancing to the third star would no longer require relic blade sand, and the leftover 29 liang was enough for the 3 maidens to each advance a rank, provided that their materials were all ready. Shi Yuan directed her gaze to Wu Xinjie. The knowledge star knew her meaning, smiling. If little sister can advance, then advance your star weapon first. Xinjie does not have a single piece of her required falling water star crystal. 6. This young lady doesn't need to for now. Sister Su Wen's child and mother linked heart's needles, 7, actually can advance first. Wu Xinjie nodded. Using the child and mother linked heart's needles for medical examinations and healing was effective. The efficacious star's star weapon grade advancement materials were far from being as harsh as the heavenly stars. Her materials were all complete. As for relic blade sand, the efficacious star herself had collected 5 liang, and 10 liang was sufficient to refine her child and mother linked heart's needles. The remaining 24 liang again was divided into 14 liang of relic blade sand to be given to Shi Yuan to refine her hoodwinking flying claws. And like this, Su Xing's 4 beautiful ladies had among them 3 each that had a destined star weapon advance to 1 star. Moreover, the base ingredient spirit sand holy was the treasured relic blade sand, and placed in the entire Liangshan continent, there were no precedent ancients. And this was merely the beginning. 1. Remember, the explanation the author gave about contracts was for the reader only. Su Xing himself has yet to know about the other forms of contracts. Right arrow curving left 2. Right arrow curving left 3. Coined by Chairman Mao, this basically means taking drastic measures. Right arrow curving left 4. It undergoes mitosis, it seems. Right arrow curving left 5. Right arrow curving left 6. Is Mercury the planet for an FYI? I don't think the author means for the material to be falling Mercury crystal. Right arrow curving left 7. 3 months after. Yu Province, Beiping County Endless City. 2. Southern part, Swallow Castle. 3. Acting as the Youyan 16 province's 4 great star cultivator clans, the power of Beiping County's Yen clan influenced 4 provinces, being able to directly disregard all levels of society. Also above Yu Province's Governor-General, even if it was one of the 10 great sects, they would still be courteous. However, in star site year 975, The great Liang dynasty imperial court and the Yen clan that treated each other as honored guests constantly were met with a grim challenge. The Swallow Castle's training grounds and surroundings were filled with 100 Yen clan children. These that just recently cultivated and could be considered to have just been initiated star cultivators gazed steadily at the battle within the courtyard. A Yen clan child currently was fighting bitterly with a young girl and had been beaten back to a dead end, as if he was not a match. However, the Yen clan child seemed to forget this senior brother of his. His gaze at any time was directed to the courtside at a haughty girl leisurely sitting on a sandalwood phoenix chair, brimming with envy, with jealousy. That girl's red clothes covered her body. Below her slender jade neck, a piece of her soft breast, like white jade, was half covered, half exposed. Her white torso was bound, unexpectedly not fully clenched. A tall and long pair of sleek, shapely and graceful legs were uncovered. Even her elegant lotus feet were soundlessly alluring, giving off a captivating invitation. A bright scarlet mantle was draped over her body, the covering threads weaved into a feather garment. On her forehead was a dab of red makeup, and most notably, hanging under her ears was a pair of jade and stone red luan earrings. 7, one flaming, the other blue, a look told that these were not ordinary items. Her scarlet eyes gazing at the battle in the courtyard were calm and unruffled in the midst of chaos, her vermilion lips tasting tea, her expression comfortable. The girl battling in the courtyard also was absolutely colorful and extraordinary. Her simple and elegant white and purple palace dress gave off a delicate and graceful appearance. Her brow was covered in a bluish-green fog, her red mouth flecked with cinnabar. Her eyes were limpid autumn waters, her skin lustrously glossy, her manner refined, her lips without a speck of red, her brows without a smudge of bluish-green, her face like a silver basin, eyes like water apricots, her character also upright, and her appearance abundant and prosperous. As her white hand danced, light moved in all four directions, a hollow and multicolored light of the horizon sparkled brilliantly, swaying. These two girls were gorgeous and stunning. This one calm and that one moving made the Yenzi Castle's 100 virgin males and virgin females teasingly infatuated and head over heels. Even if it was the Yen clan's genius star cultivator with the greatest prospects, Yen Feiyun, 9, under the grace of that young girl, he would swiftly suffer defeat underneath that gorgeous sword. The young girl recalled the sword, clasped her hands behind her back and stood. With her slim figure, a certain place on the watching men was hard. Her smile was like a chime in the wind, melodious and beautiful. Senior Qing Tian. 10, as per our agreement, in 4 months, Han Yen 11, has defeated 4 Yen clan children. Isn't it possible to bestow the Yen bit spirit sand, 12, upon Han Yen? Sitting in the middle of the courtyard was a middle-aged man with sideburns, looking somewhat disappointedly at Yen Chongyun. His gaze floated to the red-clothed girl in the courtyard, smiling. Princess Ling Yan's martial arts are unrivaled, her sword technique excellent, Yen admired. With the princess being considerate this way, the Yen clan promised 4 months and 4 battles. 1 defeat would already conclude our bargain. The Yen clan lost, its strength is of no use. Yen Qing Tian momentarily flashed into the courtyard. He fixed his gaze on his counterpart. However, Yen has one final request. Oh. This young girl calling herself Han Yen did not change her smile. 4 months and 4 battles, each initiated by the princess. Yen very much wants to see just what star general has an imposing manner as this. Is it possible to let the Yen clan feast their eyes on the legendary star general, and even better, let this Yen cheerfully cup his hands as he gifts the Yen bit spirit sand? Yen Qinggun uttered this, and those awestruck boys and girls all tumultuously looked at that haughty, red-clothed girl. 4 months of duels, and unexpectedly, they were all initiated by Princess Ling Yen while the Star General was nearby drinking tea? This actually was too beyond their expectations. Princess Ling Yen indeed was the great Liang dynasty's first princess. Jun Qing, 13, what do you think? Princess Ling Yen had a smile on her face, asking the girl. The red-garmented young girl set down her teacup, using her tongue to lick. Getting up, Within a stride, she entered the courtyard, her rate of speed near instantaneous. Junqing carried a kind of slightly disdainful smile as she sized up Yen Qing'an. This star cultivator's cultivation is only galaxy middle stage? Princess, although you are just galaxy early stage, handling him should not become a problem. Yen Qingtian's brows tightened, only feeling this star general was very egotistical. Suppressed by Princess Ling Yan's identity, Yen Qingtian did not act. Junqing, don't say it like that. Senior Yen is you province's #1 star cultivator. Princess Ling Yan, Zhao Hanyan, gave a one-sided smile. All right then. Princess, since you've said as such, your servant indeed wants to move her muscles and bones. Junqing stretched her body, her nice curves extremely enticing. Zhao Hanyan nodded, then walked off the platform. Yen Qing'an wore a smile on his face, but his eyes already held a trace of ice cold. Being able to cross fists with a star general from legend, this Yen has the blessings of 3 lifetimes. I wish you will not let this Yen be disappointed. Seeing this servant's identity, you definitely cannot be afraid. Junqing's smile was very arrogant. Hopping several small, quick steps, her 2 hands suddenly drew in the air. In her hands, rays of light glimmered, and 2 gorgeous spears appeared in her hand. The pair of spears measured half a zhang, their designs totally different. The left hand became a flying phoenix. Because of an indescribable crystal metal forging, it emitted an orange-red warm light, and the right hand became a soaring dragon wrapped in a ball of icy blue, cold, serene light. The 2 glinting stars on both the left and right spears flickered, resonating and reflecting, appearing to have an unimaginable condition of harmony. Yen Qingtian's expression changed, and the expressions of the other Yen elders that also had experience facing star generals changed as well. 2 star dragon and phoenix yin-yang spear. Saying that, don't be scared, finishing those words, her cloak flew upwards, and a majestic star energy threw itself over, earth-shattering. Junqing coldly smiled as she flew over. Yen Qingtian's seals rushed, and a flying swallow returns to nest sword art executed. 32 flying swallow brilliant light swords, imposing as a rainbow, forged ahead. The dragon and phoenix yin-yang clashed with it, and immediately, they had a swallow's cry. The sword light fell and withered. The disciples at the training grounds all looked stunned. Respectfully gifting the princess, the entire Yanzi castle saluted. Many thanks for Senior Yan's generosity. Han Yan will approve of Senior Yan with Father Emperor. Princess Ling Yan smiled. Yen Qingtian smiled bitterly, looking at the star maiden with some restrained fear. The Yenbit spirit sand indeed was an item every generation of the Yen clan meticulously passed down. If it was not for Princess Ling Yan's status, no matter how indiscriminately they would be destroyed, they would not bow and give way. Then many thanks for the princess' beautiful words. Her riding sword left the Yanzi castle. The other youngsters somewhat were reluctant to part, laying on the castle towers as they watched the 2 great beauties. Only until Yen Qingtian ferociously reprimanded them did they angrily restrain their minds. 30 liang of Yenbit spirit sand, these 4 months in Yu province finally were not a waste. Zhao Hanyan put away her spirit bag. Princess, you obviously did not have to go through this much trouble. Just be like your younger brother, directly take it from them just like that. Junqing disdainfully curled up the corner of her mouth. Zhao Hanyan snorted disdainfully, that idiot is damaging Father Emperor's reputation. Destabilizing the great Liang's foundations, he sooner or later shall pay the price. How much do we currently lack to refine to 3 stars? A 3-star destined weapon requires 10 liang of Yenbit spirit sand and 12 yin-yang pearls. Spirit sand is still off by 35 liang, yin-yang candles still short by 10. Good gracious, this princess heard that and actually is somewhat in despair. Princess Ling Yan bit her lip, already stirring up terrible thoughts. This moment she was suddenly frozen. What? The red-garmented girl asked. A moment later, Princess Ling Yan showed a cold smile. Just now, the sect attendant used the thousandly sound transmission. Regarding the alliance of 10 kill warrant, there's been another new change. What do you guess happened? Without letting her think, Ling Yan replied. The Blooming Water Sword sect unexpectedly cancelled the alliance of 10-kill warrant to completely kill Lin Chang's master. Jun Qing furrowed her brow. Why, has Lin Chang's master died? Most probably, they felt the cost of issuing the kill warrant was too great, indeed a sword sect without future prospects. Zhao Hanyan was disgusted. Able to sign a contract with Lin Chong, he definitely has an extraordinary position. I fear he used some kind of method against the Blooming Water Sword sect. Jun Qing guessed. The majestic star Lin Chong, able to kill a galaxy cultivator dead. I really want to meet her quickly. Zhang Hanyan's eyes carried a trace of excitement to slaughter. This princess actually wants to see what sort of person Lin Chang's master is, and see how he compares to this princess. The sky suddenly lit up with a crimson star. The two people raised their hands, and looking, the sky already had 51 crimson stars rise into the sky. There was still one left until the birth outline commenced. Only one star. Let's go to the divining star platform to inquire about becoming an outlaw. The sword light flit by and immediately traversed 1,000 li swiftly. And at this moment, Su Xing happened to be driving the wind-swayed raft rushing to the Great Liang. Several beautiful and lovely ladies also heard of the news of the Blooming Water Sword sect's cancellation of the alliance of 10-kill warrant. Their period of fear overturned. 1. Right arrow curving left 2. Right arrow curving left 3. Right arrow curving left 4. Right arrow curving left 5. Don't know who this senior brother is. Right arrow curving left 6. Right arrow curving left 7. Right arrow curving left 8. Okay, so it or is it not red? Right arrow curving left 9. Right arrow curving left 10. Right arrow curving left 11. Right arrow curving left 12. Right arrow curving left 13. Now, is a way for couples to verbally express their affection to one another. This foreshadows what will happen between these two in a later chapter. Degree, right arrow curving left 14. Right arrow curving left 15. In response to their amazement, Su Xing smiled. I had Shi Yuan give the Blooming Water Sword sect a letter to bear. A letter can make the Blooming Water Sword sect cancel the kill warrant? And Su Wen still felt this was awfully exaggerated. That depends on what you write in the letter. Su Xing chuckled. What did young master write? Wu Xinjie inquisitively asked. If the kill warrant is not cancelled, I will prepare to copy that Blooming Water Divine Thunder True Technique's secret in its entirety and sell it by the hundreds upon thousands. Su Xing wore a crafty smile. Make their sect's guarded secret into a common street item, worthless? The girls were about to faint. This method was too shameless. Young master, you considered doing as much? And Su Wen smiled. Su Xing pursed his lips. He actually indeed had thought of this, however. The requirements to practice the Blooming Water Divine Thunder originally were very demanding. Besides letting the Blooming Water Sword sect's Blooming Water Divine Thunder ability be researched thoroughly, truly distributing it also completely lacked sense. Right now, Su Xing was currently practicing this, so he naturally could not bring trouble to himself. However, the Blooming Water Sword sect unexpectedly actually agreed. The Thief Star felt this sword school really did not have integrity. It was lucky that it was still one of the 4 great sword sects. The Knowledge Star wanted to understand the crux among this. The Blooming Water Sword sect issued the alliance of 10-kill warrant to kill 3 eagles with 1 arrow, so cancelling it or not cancelling it were both equally likely outcomes. Why do you say that? Su Xing smiled. The Thief Star flea on a drum was very powerless. She was not even able to clearly figure out 1 eagle, so how did the Knowledge Star have 3 eagles? Wu Xinjie explained. The first eagle, every person that issued the alliance of 10-kill warrant knows young master's identity and the danger of a contracted majestic star. They should handle young master, and they naturally shall. If they did not deal with him, the kill warrant would be useless. The second eagle is to attempt to paralyze young master's countermeasures. Xinjie guesses the Blooming Water Sword sect is perhaps waiting in the dark for the chance that young master is careless. This third eagle. The third eagle is the sect's increasing weakness. Then the other sects would increasingly become aware of the danger of Lin Chang's master. Some sects that possess star masters definitely would not sit idly. On the topic of the Blooming Water Sword sect, this moment, all the protectors and hall masters also were currently questioning the Taoist Luo River's decision to cancel the alliance of 10-kill warrant, and it was no different from Wu Xinjie's guess. The Taoist Luo River's 1 arrow, 3 eagles also made every star cultivator present blank for a day. Headmaster is amazing. With this, it virtually promotes Lin Chong to the highest danger. This indeed is more formidable than the alliance of 10-kill warrant by far. The Taoist Luo River slightly smiled, carrying a trace of being pleased with himself. Ling Xian wrinkled her brow and said, "But will let Lin Chong get away just like this? Of course not. This Taoist already secretly contacted several sects we have good relationships with. The sect's inner circle will not stop chasing after Lin Chong's whereabouts. Now we need to wait until the 2 ancestral masters exit seclusion. Seeing as how the birth outline is upon us, at that time he will be humiliated." The Taoist Luo River coldly grunted. Not firmly beheading Lin Chong and her master, just how could the Blooming Water Sword sect swallow this down? "How is the person at the Divining Star platform?" the Taoist Luo River asked. The disciple hall master you brought has monitored it for 3 months now and has seen several star masters, but Lin Chong has not been sighted. Ling Xian replied. "The divine physician is with him. Pay attention for the change appearance pill. Do not be careless." "Understood. I understand." Shi Yuan shouted in awe. It's hard to imagine the Blooming Water Sword sect was actually so malicious. Next time we run into that Blooming Water old Taoist, this young lady definitely will steal away that astral treasure. The thief star felt indignant. The group that bitterly cultivated for 3 months could be considered to have had their strength greatly swell. Su Xing's chaotic tail escapes highest 7 by 7. 49 layers of heaven had already reached the 36th layer of heaven. The chaotic tail escape flashed away 100 li. If he could not outmatch the enemy, at least he could still outrun them. However, Sister Xinjie is worthy of the name Knowledge Star, comprehending her dark rank battle technique this quickly. The thief star was envious. It was not that the 3 girls did not think of an even higher magic. It was just that to do this type of thing, innate skill and inspiration were needed. Often, they had to let nature run its course. They could not force it. Several hours later, following Wu Xinjie's guidance, they quickly arrived near the Divining Star platform. Su Xing first took a change appearance pill. Both Su Xing's own body and Zhou Sihai's identities and appearance had been compromised. This change appearance pill had passed through Suwen's improvements, and the disguised appearance had also turned into an elegant and beautiful young man's look. If viewed solely from the outside, then he simply was a naive and traveling spoiled son. Looking at that gentle and pretty face in the mirror, Su Xing was not particularly fond of it. However, the change appearance pill's effects were originally not definite, so Su Xing not liking it could not be helped. And Suwen experimented with this change appearance pill for 3 months and only completed 2, which cost millions of liang. Ordinarily, it was used to complete risky public business to great effect, for example, this trip to the Divining Star platform. They believed the cultivators waiting for an opportunity were not few. We'll need to be careful in a moment. The Divining Star platform is a place star masters must go to. Within the surrounding 100 li, often there are people lying in wait, specifically recording the faces of star masters, waiting for an opportunity afterwards to kill them. Star masters that previously died at the Divining Star platform, or because of it, were many. Wu Xinjie warned. In the star duels, the Divining Star platform could be said to be a double-edged sword of a crisis and opportunity both existing at the same time. Su Xing grunted in affirmation. When they entered within 100 li of the Divining Star platform, Su Xing sensed many concealed presences. Su Xing also broke through the second layer of the Divine Machine Clan's great spread divine art within these 3 months, and the current divine layer was keen to say nothing of it. Even when his own divine intent swept over those star masters, they did not sense it. Only Nebula late-stage cultivators could slightly feel it. A moment later, The sounds of an intense battle in the forest attracted Su Xing and the rest's attention. They only saw countless flying swords like running water currently intertwined into an array beneath the trees, trapping its target within the array. The flying swords incessantly launched an entanglement attack, and 20 to 30 star cultivators very cautiously encircled around it to the side, continuously manipulating seals and flying swords. From time to time, several powerful artifacts flew out. Those star cultivators wore water blue apparel and were astonishingly the blooming water sword sect. Su Xing frowned. Staring at them, as a result of the 20 to 30 star cultivators' forms being very confused, a dazzling blue light was practically sheltered from view. He could vaguely make out that the one that had been trapped was a petite girl, and seeing that girl's sword swings, the pace of her footsteps, it seemed she was protecting something, not letting the blooming water sword sect disciples get close. That sword actually made Su Xing feel a shiver. Huge and hard, it was broadsword of approximately 2 meters, and the blood grooves on the sword blade were forged of dark iron, black and deep as hell, and when its whole body circled, the sword tip actually dispersed a concentrated crimson blood light, more red than even blood. It was red to the point that there was no way to stare at it. A first look would make people feel their entire body was ice cold, and it was unknown whether it was because of this magic sword that those star cultivators would launch an attack. Xinjie, what do you see with her? Su Xing said. Wu Xinjie nodded, starting her yellow rank magic think then act. That girl's military strength potential immediately floated before her eyes, and that dark-colored blood light's broadsword was revealed without doubt. Blood-drinking demon-killing sword. 2. The knowledge star went blank. She looked at Su Xing, somewhat not daring to believe. She is the savage star, god of death Bao Su. 3. Right arrow curving left 2. Right arrow curving left 3. Do your best, junior brothers. This star general soon will be ours. The blooming water sword sect saw that the savage star already was very weakened. Their killing intent abundant, repeatedly smiling, they completely did not detect in the sky 1,000 meters above them were people nearby snooping. Young Master Su Xing? Wu Xinjie aimed an inquisitive gaze at Su Xing. Su Xing did not have a shred of a good opinion towards the blooming water sword sect. Seeing those cultivators below derangedly besieging her was completely loathsome. Nodding his head, the wind-swayed raft quickly dived down. Su Xing threw a red gourd. The miniature gourd in the wind swelled in size multiple times. The red gourd flowed transparent talisman inscriptions. The gourd's red light condensed and was extremely bright. This was precisely the blood rain pot. Su Xing's current cultivation already entered nebula late stage, and using this galaxy artifact was smooth and easy. The blood rain pot hung upside down in the air, its red brilliance spraying out like a torrential downpour. The blooming water sword sect cultivators beneath were about to enthusiastically attack, when suddenly they felt the sky above transmit bursts of pressure. Lifting their heads to look, their faces were like ash. The place that was nice to look at was full of scarlet rain. The star cultivators hastily raised every sort of defensive artifact and magic, but this blood rain pot was a galaxy stage artifact. The violently emerging rain of blood was thick as a feather pen, incomparably sharp. 100 red lights covered their surroundings, and there were miserable sounds again and again. Some cultivators even did not have time to prepare and just died. The savage star had already seen the rain of blood fall, and the blood-drinking demon-killing sword assumed a defensive posture at her chest. That 2-meter-long broadsword seemingly was like a shield. Crimson light flew around, enveloping her and the person she wanted to protect like a net of blood. The blood-drinking demon-killing sword and the blood rain pot appeared to engender one another as the blood light that flew over and fell on the net was sucked into it. A long time after, the more than 20 blooming water sword sect cultivators had more than half of their number dead. This one beneath you is the blooming water sword sect. Who are you people? Why did you sneak attack this school? A star cultivator who had the highest cultivation of galaxy early stage raised his head and saw the Su Xing on the boat, his expression changing. He only felt that the elegant and beautiful youth standing before the dragon's head had an indescribable evil intent and coldness. Even the pretty as flowers maids at his side were each out of the ordinary, and then he saw the star crests flickering on their foreheads. "You are, Hall Master," Yu loudly shouted. Without giving him the chance to speak, a freezing cold broke the wind, and Lin Chong threw herself into a leap and already swung down the Arctic Star Spear. Hall Master Yu, unfortunately, was Galaxy Early Stage. Both his hands successively flipped through seals, and an ice-blue water mirror blocked in front of him. More than a dozen talisman scripts flew out, melting in the air and violently dispersing a wide area of ice and snow blades. The remaining star cultivators also hastily fastened their flying swords and attacked toward Su Xing. The wind-swayed raft flashed. These star cultivators were overwhelmed to see this. The opponent was then right before them, his speed excessively quick. "Have a taste of your blooming water divine thunder." Su Xing wrist flipped, and the blooming water divine thunder then burst forth from his palm. The more than 7 times refined blooming water divine thunder was like a long whip waved around by Su Xing. Thunder light buzzed, and the divine thunder turned into water, not changing its non-solid state. This swept downwards, and 5 or 6 star cultivators suffered it head-on. Their seals broke off, their incantations stopped short, their whole bodies instantly paralyzed. The savage star also was not idle. Raising the blood-drinking demon-killing sword, she cleanly and nimbly killed as if she was cutting vegetables. Star cultivators that were farther away saw this beautiful young man was this violent, turning away in preparation to run. The moment they turned, they saw a black-colored skin-tight jumpsuit, fishnet stocking-wearing girl craftily look at them. Her hand pointed, and several tens of fierce beast-type mechanical beasts spat out a green light and extinguished them. Besides, that Hall Master Yu was not one of the blooming water sword sect's masters of a hall for nothing. After firmly resisting Lin Yingmei's Arctic Star Spear for several moves, even placing artifacts and talismans, Hall Master Yu seized the chance to use an escape technique. The speed of Lin Yingmei's dodging movement was even faster than his escape technique, and the Arctic Star Spear's tip was clear and present. A cold light slashed down towards Hall Master Yu's neck. Hall Master Yu struggled to throw out a talisman and could not change the Arctic Star Spear's trajectory. "Ah! This sect will definitely make mincemeat out of you all." After he spoke those words, this Galaxy Early Stage star cultivator died at Lin Yingmei's hands, unexpectedly without the slightest degree of strength of resistance. "Dream on," Wu Xinjie sneered, suddenly reaching out her hand with her star energy like a fine thread. A sect intent transmission talisman was then burned to ashes. Wanting to advance secretly a cheap trick to inform his sect in front of the knowledge star was a bit too naive. Several tens of minutes later, the blooming water sword sect was completely wiped out. Su Xing recalled his artifact and threw out a ghost soul pearl. These abominable souls naturally could not be left behind. "You want to kill me?" A young and tender voice sounded. Only then did Su Xing and the girls go pay attention to that savage star. When they saw the savage star, they all stared blankly. The savage star god of death in the water margin was only the death god second after Li Kuei. Just looking at her name was enough to know that there was a verse that went, "Raise a broadsword to kill by fire." Bao Su's name is called the god of death. 2. But the savage star god of death before him was completely outside of Su Xing's imagination. The really not extremely frightening violent young girl was not licking blood, the bloodthirsty female devil of a massacre. If Su Xing had to use a feeling to describe the first feelings he had when he saw the savage star, then it would be cute. Quite cute. A pair of vivid and lively big eyes, delicate facial features, skin like snow, green clothes, petite and exquisite. Any way he looked, she could not be more than 7 or 8 years old. Perhaps she had not even reached the young age where she had an awakening towards a first love. Even if that 2-meter broadsword in her hand was taller than herself and even more heavy, it was this incompatible blood-drinking demon-killing sword held by the girl that actually made people see nothing wrong. "You are the savage star god of death?" The beautiful ladies were flabbergasted. Shi Yuan had wanted to shout out elder sister, but seeing that small girl was this young, she really could not shout it out. The little girl's eyes carried a calm and caution that did not align with her age. Going by this, she indeed could be a star general. Sweeping her eyes, her gaze finally stopped squarely on Su Xing. Do you want to kill Xiaoyu? 3. Xiaoyu will not give up. Su Xing stared blankly, and they looked at each other in dismay. For him to kill like this truly was a very difficult matter. The savage star's expression was brimming with unwavering determination, without fear, definitely making Su Xing very impressed. Her age was very small, her imposing aura very excessive. Watching the little girl's movements that were like a mother cat protecting its child, Su Xing, Wu Xinjie and the rest's eyes glanced behind her. Unexpectedly, it was a little boy about the same size as her. He currently curled his body up in fear, hugging his head, frightened and stressed. Is he your friend? Su Xing, making his voice somewhat more gentle. The savage star acted as if her tail had been stepped on, her whole body stretched taut, her eyes more alert and cautious. Could he be your master? Wu Xinjie opened her mouth. The little lowly, jolted as if she had been set on fire, suddenly throwing herself forward. That immense blood-drinking demon-killing sword was just like Mount Tai as it advanced and cut toward Su Xing. Blood-red light was emitted from the sword blade, the boundless bloody light in an instant covering Su Xing and his beautiful ladies. Yellow rank tactic, long river of blood drinking. Su Xing remained unmoved. The Lin Mei, who was already storing energy as they waited, swung her spear with one hand. The forest of the spear points cold, white light shone from the spear's edge. Just like a ferocious beast, it cleanly engulfed the blood light, the spearhead instantly touching against the savage star's neck. Only a light was needed to return the little girl to the Liangshan maiden as a falling star. I beseech that you do not kill Xiaoyu. The all-along frightened boy abruptly shouted out. Author's note: it appears to have hit the shelves. Pleading for a monthly vote. These 2 days will have an eruption. 1. Star Master in the Ross, obviously incorrect. Right arrow curving left 2. Poor me, can't make a verse. Right arrow curving left 3. Right arrow curving left 4. I guess it's a running gag that Wu Xinjie just has to open her big mouth. Right arrow curving left 5. Oh. It seems that young boy definitely was the savage star's master, without doubt. When he called out, each of their red star crests sparkled. I beseech that you do not hurt Xiaoyu. Although the boy was very afraid, he still wanted to do his utmost to protect her. Su Xing nodded to himself. At such a young age, yet he already having this spirit was already considered to be very good. If we wanted to kill you, we would not need this nonsense. Lin Mei icily asserted, withdrawing her spear. The savage star god of death bit her lip, recalling the blood-drinking demon-killing sword at the same time. Thank you. The little boy bowed his head. Why are you here? Su Xing asked, immediately answering himself, to go to the divining star platform. The little girl nodded, opening eyes of distrust. You really will not kill me? You don't offend me, I won't offend you. Su Xing smiled. The girl went, Many people have been drawn here, let's leave first. Wu Xinjie looked around in all directions. Although this battle was very quick, it still alerted the star cultivator gangs within the surrounding few dozen li. If they ran into an ally of the blooming water sword sect, that indeed would be hard to say. The knowledge star asked the savage star, we also were just about to go to the divining star platform. If you wish, come together with us. Walking over there, you are too audacious. The 100 li surrounding the divining star platform was known as the falling star graveyard. Every time the star duels commenced, many harbored sinister machinations as scattered star cultivators attempted to reach heaven in a single bound too, by setting up ambushes in the surroundings and waiting for star masters to take the bait. If they were powerful, that was it. Leaving the stage with useless powers was unpleasant to say. These drifting scattered star cultivators also did not fear the Liangshan Maidens' retaliation. As far as they were concerned, using every kind of method to increase their strength was the most important. The little girl was still very cautious, however, her contracted master actually agreed without the slightest hesitation. The wind-swayed raft broke through into the sky, and the little boy looked at the 1,000 meters of sky, revealing an odd expression. Very quickly, he showed boyish excitement, pointing at the scenery below in high spirits with the savage star. The girl previously was still very vigilant, but very quickly, she was influenced by her master, revealing a brilliant smile. Su Xing sized up the two miners, completely baffled. The little boy wore a magnificent brocade, with a manner very appropriate. It seemed he came from an extraordinary family background, but his cultivation unexpectedly being Stardust early stage actually was a big surprise. And Suin at this time stepped forward and chatted with them. The efficacious star, the divine physician's warmth was like a cleansing spring breeze, very quickly making the two people sweetly cry out, "Elder sister, elder sister." On the road, Su Xing more or less understood their circumstances. The savage star god of death's true name was Bao Xiaoyu, 3, but she preferred others to call her Yu. That small boy indeed was her master, surname Han, 5, given name Yu. 6. They did not state the reason why they signed a star duel covenant, but it could be seen the god of death Bao Xiaoyu defended her master with all her power. Yet the young boy was somewhat shy. What were the star duels? He most probably did not know anything at all. The savage star was too bold. Her master's cultivation was only at Stardust late stage, yet she dared to come to the divining star platform to become an outlaw. Even the knowledge star was endlessly speechless. However, that blood-drinking demon-killing sword of the savage star was refined to 1 star. From that starlight's relative dimness, it was not refined with material the likes of relic blade sand. Still, it was rather outside of Su Xing's expectations, and it seemed this god of death of a little girl was completely an old Taoist. 7. During their hurry to the divining star platform, they also ran into many star cultivators. Seeing Su Xing surrounded by beauties, they thought he was some great clan's hedonistic son. In the star duels, this type of frivolous disciple was a very common sight, and these scattered star cultivators did not dare provoke them. The group was more scared than hurt when they very quickly saw the divining star platform. The divining star platform situated at the top of the divining star hilltop, 8, from afar looked to be a minaret-shaped odd building. Its entire body was a single stone obelisk, and with that pillar raised to the heavens, Maiden Mountain, they brought out the best in each other. 108 pillars of carved dragons and painted phoenixes surrounded the building's environment, numerous and close together. There was a sort of indescribable pattern. The divining star platform. An existence inseparably close and related to the star duels, no one knew just where it came from. Apparently, when the star duels began, it rose steeply from the ground. Conjectures about the divining star platform could not be considered very few. People only knew that inside was a mysterious star diviner calling herself Yen Poxy, 9, who knew from astronomy to geography. While others could not see through the orbits of stars, she could know all these by heart. Star masters relied on the star diviner to seek for where the token of becoming an outlaw that occupied an important position in the star duels fell. As far as this place was concerned, there also was not shortage of cultivators that wanted to pry into the bottom of the matter, but the majority all were stopped by the forbid dance at the outer 10 li. The red boundary was like an immense casing that covered a 10 li range around the divining star platform. Su Xing struck a star talisman, and the boundary gave rise to a ripple that immediately afterwards sucked the wind-swayed raft inside like a great, big mouth. Falling inside, a powerful pressure then forced Su Xing to drop the wind-swayed raft. It seemed this place had an aerial forbid dance. Su Xing lifted his head. The divining star platform towering to the highest peak was like a sword stabbed into the ground from the heavens. 1,008 layers of white stone stairs snaked and crisscrossed, like a crawling white dragon. Every sort of spirit beast, holy object and statue were set up on both ends, exceptionally spectacular. Seeing that tall and erect, reaching through the clouds flight of stairs, Wu Xinjia's head hurt. She had originally wanted to enter the star nest, but the savage star did not shrink back, making her rather embarrassed. 10. The divining star platform's ambience was solemn. They could not hear the sounds of birds, the chirps of insects. turning their head around to look at the world outside the boundary. It had a fuzzy appearance. Walking for several hours, everyone only then ascended to the top. The divining star platform had 3 flights of steps, divided into the earthly fiend path, the heavenly spirit path, and the purple star path. Su Xing already fully understood the divining star platform's history from Wuxinjie before coming. These 3 paths were the ranks of the token of becoming an outlaw star masters had to choose from. The effect of choosing token of becoming an outlaw that was a different grade was not at all the same. However, the higher the grade, the harder it was to obtain that token of becoming an outlaw, such that one could lose his life. In the past, there was a star master that contracted with Guan Sheng who chose the purple star grade token and fell. From then on, the purple star grade was regarded as legendary. Very few star masters dared to take the risk. The majority of star masters chose between earthly fiend and heavenly spirit. The savage star Little Lowly chose the most dependable earthly fiend path. Given Han Yu's cultivation, this earthly fiend path was facing a hazard. Wait a sec. Su Xing stopped them. Bao Xiaoyu turned her head, her eyes somewhat cautious. This is for you. Su Xing threw an astral bag stuffed with some items that he previously obtained from the Blooming Water Sword sect cultivators to her. Hold on to it, perhaps it will be useful. The savage star Bao Xiaoyu opened her eyes wide. You're giving this to Yuer? And I don't have any use for it. Watch yourself. Su Xing looked at her adorable appearance. Her pure eyes, completely lacking blemishes, did not have a trace of a god of death's evil tendencies. Su Xing was only treating her as a little sister. Bao Xiaoyu's surprise was within his expectations. The Star Masters in between had only been mortal enemies. Even if there was peaceful contact, they would not give a thought to their counterparts. Little sister Yuer, just take it. Young master is truly worried about you too. And Suwen just smiled. Thank you, big brother Su Xing. Han Yu shyly expressed his thanks. Bao Xiaoyu was blank for a moment, then spat out the 2 words of, thank you. When they set off on the earthly fiend path, Wu Xinjie then asked, Young master, if there really is a day that they become the enemy, what will young master do? I will never be stupid enough to let people come kill me. I'll shout loudly love and justice, world peace. Su Xing was helpless. The girls were amused by Su Xing's charming words. Which one will master choose now? Lin Yingmei asked at this time. Thinking for a bit, Su Xing looked towards the purple star path. Considering the abnormal phenomenon of his contracting multiple star generals, the token of becoming an outlaw naturally could not be skimpy. This one. Wu Xinjie and the rest did not have objections, hiding into the star nest. Walking past a corridor, he entered a bright room. Inside the room were not too many furniture. It was obvious from a glance that a woman wearing a hood sat in the middle of the room, hunching her back. A pair of dried-up, thin hands currently flipped through cards on a table. Seeing Su Xing enter the room, the other party covered the cards and lifted her head. It was an aged face completely covered with wrinkles. That pair of eyes completely lacked anger, seemingly like ash. Su Xing was speechless. This was Yen Poxy. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.